Chapter 2369. I called you all here today because I have something to announce. Hearing that there was something to announce, the six of them straightened their bodies. But in the next moment they were stunned, because Xiajuyo said, I plan to give up my current position. What? The six of them felt as if they were struck by lightning. Their reaction was the same as the old servant from before. Why did Palace Master do this? Yes, who else can take over your position? The six of them were shocked. Because this old man's status was too terrifying. No one could take over. They had already found a good candidate. Old Hua! Xiajuyo shouted. The old servant beside him stood up. He waved his sleeve, and runes flickered in the sky, condensing into a young appearance. It was Lin Xian's phantom. Then the old servant said. His name was Lin Xian. He had saved the little princess, and was currently resting on Qingxia Peak. What let him take over? The six of them looked at the young figure in the sky in shock. What kind of joke was this? Letting a brat take over the position of Palace Master? They didn't dare to believe it. They even felt like they were dreaming. Xiajuyo said, Why? You don't believe my judgment? No. These people hurriedly shook their heads. It's just that it's too sudden. We can't accept it for a while. Even if we can't accept it, we have to accept it. Xiajuyo's voice became low, carrying a supreme pressure. From today onwards, this young man will be the palace master of our immortal palace. I won't interfere in immortal palace's matters in the future. I have to prepare for the immemorial war. Immemorial war. Everyone was shocked again. Then the six of them raised their heads. The 10,000 ancient races were about to appear. Soon, the nest of 10,000 dragons had been moving more and more frequently recently. They would probably appear soon. When the nest of 10,000 dragons appeared, the other 10,000 ancient races would probably appear as well. At that time, the 5 continents would definitely be filled with flames of war. It was still unknown whether or not the human race could withstand it. Therefore you must assist that young man well. Yes, we know. The 6 of them stood up and knelt on one knee. Their expressions were very solemn. All right, you may leave. Xiajuyo waved his hand. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The 6 of them quickly left. Old Hua. Xiajuyo said. Bring that kid over. Over here. Lin Xian was playing with Xiajuyo on Qingxia Peak. Suddenly, a white cloud descended from the sky, and turned into an old servant. Grandpa Hua, why are you here? Xia Xingchen asked curiously. The old servant smiled and said, Master has some matters to discuss with Sir Lin. Please, Sir Lin. Looking for me? Lin Xian was surprised, but he still followed the old servant. Xia Xingchen sighed. Big brother Lin has left. DeLong, Xiaobai, you two can play with me. The little white monkey nodded happily, but the dark red dragon was depressed. When did it become someone else's pet? Up ahead, the old servant led the way. He and Lin Xian flew into the distance, clouds rising beneath their feet. Senior, why is Elder Xia looking for me? Lin Xian asked doubtfully. Young Master Lin, when you arrive, you will naturally know. The old servant said indifferently. All right then. Lin Xian didn't ask any more questions, but he was extremely puzzled. This was also why he did not know about the conversation between the old servant and Xiajuyo. Otherwise he would have been shocked. Because Xiajuyo had seen through his great dragon sword soul in an instant. This was Lin Xian's biggest secret. The two of them flew and soon landed. However, there was no one around. The old servant led Lin Xian, and quickly activated an array. Seeing the surrounding runes flickering, Lin Xian was shocked. This was because he realized that this was actually a super teleportation array. How powerful was that country? The Yuhua Immortal Empire. Lin Xian muttered. Then he raised his head and asked, Then why is this empire gone? It was destroyed. Even a powerful empire could not withstand the power of time. The Yuhua Immortal Empire made a shocking decision back then. But after it failed, it fell apart. The ancestors of the 9 empires were split from the Yuhua Immortal Empire. Even many families and forces in the Zhengzhou continent were once members of the Yuhua Immortal Empire. But in the end, they each established their own forces, empires and countries. Chapter 2370. A portion of it remained in the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty's name. However, they were no longer called the Immortal Dynasty, but changed to another name. What was it called? Lin Xian asked. Immortal Palace, Xia Zhuyo said in a deep voice. Because the vast territory was long gone, only a dilapidated palace was left, so it naturally couldn't be called the Immortal Dynasty, but Immortal Palace. Immortal Palace. Lin Xian was surprised. Then he looked in all directions. He always felt that the other party seemed to have something that he didn't say. Regardless of whether it was the Immortal Dynasty or Immortal Palace, it was completely different from the current dynasty. It had the word immortal in it. One had to know that everyone cultivated to become an immortal. But whether there were immortals in the world or not, no one knew. Even the great emperors didn't know. It could be said that whether immortals existed or not was the greatest mystery. But now, someone actually used the word immortal to name a country and a faction. One could imagine how ambitious the other party was. Moreover, what made Lin Xian even more puzzled was why the other party would say such a thing. What did it have to do with him? Suddenly his eyelids twitched. Could it be that the other party was from Immortal Palace? Senior, could it be? You guessed right. I am indeed from Immortal Palace. Moreover, I am the Palace Master of Immortal Palace, Xia Zhuyo said in a deep voice. After Lin Xian heard this, he felt like he was struck by lightning. What? Immortal Palace's Palace Master? He had guessed that this old man was from Immortal Palace, but he didn't expect that the other party's identity was even more noble than he imagined. Immortal Palace's Palace Master. This was definitely an extremely terrifying existence, not weaker than the emperors of the 9 great dynasties. However, Xia Zhuyo said that he didn't need to be surprised, because soon, he wouldn't be the Palace Master of Immortal Palace? Wouldn't be the Palace Master of Immortal Palace? What did that mean? Lin Xian was even more puzzled. Because I plan to pass the position of Immortal Palace's Palace Master to you. What? Pass it to me? Lin Xian was dumbfounded. He didn't dare to believe it. What was going on? Immortal Palace had inherited the essence of the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty. It was an extremely terrifying existence. Now, the other party actually said that he would pass the position of Immortal Palace Master to him? What kind of joke was this? Lin Xian couldn't believe it. He even suspected that the other party was joking. Senior, this joke isn't funny. Xia Zhuyo stood up and said with a smile. Why? Do you think I'm joking? This is the first time I've met Senior, right? Why would Senior give me such an important position? Lin Xian shook his head. He didn't believe it. Just because I saved Xia Xingchen? Lin Xian felt that it was impossible. Even if he had saved Xia Xingchen, if the other party wanted to repay him, he would at most give him some treasures. But to give him the position of Immortal Palace Hall Master, what was going on? Could it be that there was some kind of conspiracy going on? Lin Xian couldn't understand. But in the next moment his pupil shrank. He stood there in a daze. Xia Zhuyo said, because you are very special. You have a boundless future. You have the great dragon sword spirit with unparalleled combat prowess. Wang. Lin Xian's pupils shrank to the size of needles. He was too shocked. How did the other party know that he had the great dragon sword soul? Or could it be that the other party had already set their sights on his dragon sword spirit? He didn't know. But at this moment he was extremely nervous. The great dragon sword spirit in his body could erupt at any time. Lin Xian even decided to use the black earth at all costs. Although he knew that all of this wouldn't have much effect in front of the other party, but he wouldn't sit still and wait for death. Don't be nervous. I don't have any ill intentions towards you. Seeing Lin Xian's nervous face, Xia Zhuyo smiled and sat down again. Actually, from the beginning, I knew that you had the great dragon sword spirit. I even knew it before I saw you. What's going on? How did you know that I have the great dragon sword spirit without seeing me? What's going on? Could it be that the other party had the ability to predict the unknown? Lin Xian was even more puzzled. Xia Zhuyo smiled. Let me show you this and you'll understand. Xia Zhuyo waved his hand. Suddenly, countless rays of light condensed in the sky, forming a figure. It was a middle-aged man. He stood on a flying sword, his long hair fluttering in the wind. There was stubble on his handsome face, and a wine pot hung on his waist. Wine Lord. Seeing this figure, Lin Xian immediately exclaimed. That's right, this figure was Wine Lord. Of course, it wasn't his actual body, but a spiritual imprint. When Lord Alcohol appeared, he looked down and said with a smile, "Little guy, we meet again. You've grown faster than I imagined. Wine Lord, where are you? I miss you so much." Lin Xian's eyes were wet. After all, this was his first master. "I have important things to do now, so we can't meet for the time being. But don't worry, we'll meet again one day," Wine Lord said with a smile. Then, he turned and pointed at Xiaojuyo. "This is an old friend of mine. Trust him, he won't harm you. You've accepted the immortal palace and made it shine. I hope that one day we can fight side by side." The mental imprint wasn't long, so it didn't take long for Lord Alcohol's figure to slowly disappear. Lin Xian said quickly, "Wine Lord, don't worry. I'll work hard to improve myself. One day, I'll stand side by side with you and look down on this land." "Ha ha ha ha, good, I'll wait for you." Lord Alcohol laughed loudly as he completely transformed into a beam of light and disappeared. Xiaojuyo said again, "How is it, little guy? Now you know that I don't have any ill intentions towards you. I was rude before." Lin Xian was extremely respectful towards Xiaojuyo, because this was Grandpa Jio's friend. "Old Xia, how did you and Grandpa Jio meet? Can you tell me about Wine Lord's past? We've known each other for a long time," Xiaojuyo said slowly. He couldn't remember exactly when they met. "As for his past, I'll tell you when I have the chance in the future. Your mission isn't easy now. Kid, are you willing to take over the Immortal Palace and become its master?" "Yes." Lin Xian took a deep breath. Since even Wine Lord said so, he naturally had to accept. Although he didn't know what he would face in the future, he wouldn't be afraid no matter what it was. "Good." Seeing Lin Xian nod, Xiaojuyo heaved a sigh of relief. He stroked his beard and smiled. "Very good, from now on, you're the master of Immortal Palace." "Senior, what do I need to do?" Lin Xian asked. "I won't care about the details. After all, you'll be the master of Immortal Palace in the future. But no matter what you do, you can't deviate from the goal of Immortal Palace." Xiaojuyo's eyes became extremely deep. A supreme aura rose from his body. "Our Immortal Palace exists to restore the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty. Actually, the ultimate goal of the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty was to ascend and become an immortal. So becoming an immortal is also our goal." Becoming an immortal? Restoring the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty? Lin Xian was shocked. This wasn't a simple matter. It wasn't as simple as becoming a great emperor. One had to know that the central continent had long been divided by the 9 great empires. If one wanted to establish a supreme country, it was tantamount to starting a war with the 9 great empires. Just how much strength and courage did one need to be able to do this? Chapter 2371. Just how much strength and courage did one need to be able to do this? Moreover, the other goal was even more shocking. Becoming an immortal. What an elusive thing. Even becoming a great emperor might not be possible. However, since he had already agreed to do it, and decided to do it, Lin Xian swore that he would advance towards these goals no matter what. After all, becoming a great emperor was his ultimate goal. Now the two didn't conflict. In fact, becoming the master of Immortal Palace could provide him with great help on his path to becoming a great emperor. After all, Immortal Palace had endless resources for him to enjoy. From now on, he would no longer have to be a rogue cultivator like before. Lin Xian knew how important it was to have a powerful faction as a foundation. Looking at those princes, the Holy Sun knew that it was hundreds of times easier for them to cultivate than him. But now Lin Xian finally had a powerful faction as a foundation. In addition, with the Great Dragon Sword Soul as a foundation, his strength would increase by leaps and bounds in the future. He just had to remember these 2 goals. Of course, there was another one, and that was to protect the human race. Protect the human race. Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. What did that mean? If we want to restore the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty, we will definitely have to contend with the other great factions. Battles with the 9 great dynasties are inevitable. In the future, in order to compete for resources, we will even have to fight with those peerless great sects and peerless holy lands. But these are all battles between the human race. However, the human race isn't the only one on the entire continent. The 10,000 ancient races are incomparably powerful. Although they haven't appeared yet, it doesn't mean that they have disappeared. Now that the nest of 10,000 dragons is about to make a move, once it appears, the other ancient races will probably appear one after another. At that time, they would definitely start a conflict with all the human forces. No matter how we fight, we want to allow other races to rule this land. 10,000 ancient races. Lin Xian was shocked. This wasn't the first time he had heard of this name. What shocked him even more was that the nest of 10,000 dragons was about to make a move. Could it be that it was about to appear soon? As for the specifics, you can ask the other elders in Immortal Palace in the future, Xia Juyo said. However, Lin Xian still had a doubt. He asked, Elder Xia, if you let me become Immortal Palace's master just like this, will the others be convinced? He indeed had this worry. That was Immortal Palace. There might be countless experts inside, geniuses emerging in large numbers. Letting a brat like him, moreover someone who appeared out of nowhere, become Immortal Palace's lord, those people would definitely not accept this. With me around, they won't be able to rebel, but they definitely won't be too convinced. How to convince them is up to you. This old man can't help you with everything. However, you have to promise me something. Senior, please speak your mind. Junior will definitely do it. This old man has lived for too long, and I don't have much lifespan left. I don't know how long I can last. Therefore, I hope that you can help me take good care of Xingqian. You must not let her come to any harm. Don't worry, Senior, I'll definitely protect Xingqian like a younger sister. You just have to protect her well. But I don't care if she's like my sister. Hearing this, Lin Xian's mouth twitched. What was the meaning of this? Hearing this, the other party seemed to have other intentions. However, Lin Xian already had Morong Qingqing, Shen Jingxiu and Zhao Shui. Xia Juyo shook his head. This old man doesn't care about the matters of you youngsters. I'm handing Immortal Palace and Xingqian to you, so you can't make any mistakes. Don't worry, old Xia, this kid will definitely do his best. Lin Xian cupped his fists. However, he asked curiously, Senior, where are you going? There are still many things for me to do. The 10,000 ancient races are restless. I have to think of a way to intimidate them. Little guy, quickly grow up. We need you. The great dragon sword's power far surpasses your imagination. Only when you truly grow up can you truly help us. Lin Xian nodded. He knew that today's matter was only the tip of the iceberg. There were probably even bigger matters and secrets that the other party didn't mention. It wasn't that the other party was intentionally hiding things from him, but that he couldn't help with his current strength. Telling him would only add to his worries. When his strength reached that level, he would naturally know those things. This is the Immortal Palace seal, a symbol of status. You have to keep it well and not lose it. Xia Juyo took out a bronze square seal and handed it to Lin Xian. Lin Xian received it carefully and then took a deep breath. This Immortal Palace seal was too mysterious. Although it was only a palm-sized bronze square seal, the power it contained made Lin Xian's hair stand on end. Next, he gave an order to the entire Immortal Palace, stating that the position would be passed to Lin Xian. Logically speaking, such a huge matter would definitely have a huge ceremony. However, Xia Juyo didn't want to cause such a huge commotion. After all, the identity of Immortal Palace was a secret to begin with. Moreover, he did have more important things to do. Finally, Xia Juyo stood up and said in a deep voice, I'll give you another person. He can protect your safety. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask him. Xing Tian, come out. Wang. At the side of the hall, the space cracked open and a figure walked out. It was a tall figure with a youthful face. His true age was unknown. However, he had a heavy aura that made it hard for others to breathe. Xing Tian. He will be the master of Immortal Palace in the future. You have to protect him well. You have to listen to any orders he gives. Yes. Xing Tian knelt down on one knee and was very respectful. Then he stood up and looked at Lin Xian, bowing slightly. Young master, no need to be so polite. Lin Xian quickly waved his hand and looked at the other party. Xing Tian was a very tall man. His bronze muscles were like a dragon. The power and pressure he gave off wasn't any weaker than Zhang Yuan's. Needless to say, he was definitely an exceptional expert. With such an exceptional expert protecting him, Lin Xian was very assured. Lin Xian, make your preparations. 3 days later, meet the people of Immortal Palace. Oh, give the order now, Xia Juyo said in a deep voice. Yes. Lin Xian left, and Xing Tian also left at the same time. Sure enough, not long after Lin Xian left, Xia Juyo issued an order that spread throughout the entire Immortal Palace. Their Immortal Palace's influence was very wide and spread throughout the entire central state. Not only that, but they also had bases in eastern wilderness and southern border. Of course, everything was in the dark. Ordinary people didn't even know that there was such a powerful organization like Immortal Palace in this world. However, when the members of Immortal Palace received the news, they were all stunned. Chapter 2372. What? Immortal Palace Master is giving up his position to a young man? Heavens, did you make a mistake? What's going on? Is Immortal Palace going to change? Everyone was shocked. This was especially true for those elders, who were in an uproar. Many of them shouted angrily, what right does a kid have to inherit the position of Immortal Palace Master? Moreover, it's a kid of unknown origin. That's right, he's not even a member of Immortal Palace. What right does he have? These people were really angry. Those young geniuses were also very unconvinced. Even if a young man was to be chosen, it should be from them. An outsider, what's the meaning of this? These people argued fiercely. None of them were convinced. On the other side, Lin Xian brought Xing Tian back to the Green Hornet, Mississippi. When Xing Tian saw Xia Xingchen, he bowed slightly. Xia Xingchen was also surprised. Brother Xing Tian, why are you here? By the way, Brother Lin, what did Grandpa say to you? Your grandpa passed the position of Immortal Palace Master to me. Lin Xian said helplessly. What? Is this true? Xia Xingchen's eyes widened in disbelief. Her cherry lips formed an O shape. But then, she clapped her hands happily. That's great, Brother Lin. I was still thinking about what to do when you leave. Now that you've become the Immortal Palace Master, you can play with me often. Hearing this, Lin Xian broke out in cold sweat. This little girl's thinking is really different from ordinary people. At the side, the dark red divine dragon was also confused. Kid, what's going on? What Immortal Palace Master? Thus, Lin Xian gave a simple account of what had happened. When the dark red dragon heard that Lin Xian's palace master was the Immortal Palace's palace master, it was shocked. When he heard that the Immortal Palace Master was inextricably linked to the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty, he screamed and jumped up. What the fuck? Kid, you've become the Immortal Palace Master? You know? Lin Xian asked. The dark red divine dragon swallowed his saliva. Of course, how could he not know such a famous organization? Although it was no longer the real Yuhua Immortal Dynasty, it was still a huge monster. They weren't any weaker than the Peerless Holy Grounds and Peerless Great Sections. Furthermore, it was extremely mysterious. It could be said that it was comparable to heaven and hell. Brat, now that you've become a palace master, you're going to be rich in the future. Ha 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 ha, I'm going to be rich in the future. The dark red dragon god was very excited. With his relationship with Lin Xian, he was definitely going to be rich. However, Lin Xian shook his head. Don't be so happy. I'm afraid it won't be easy to become a palace master like this. That's true. The dark red divine dragon stopped jumping around. Then he frowned and said, if I hand over such a huge organization to you, the experts inside will definitely not be convinced. Kid, what did that old man say? Elder Xia said that other than the two main goals, he wouldn't care about anything else, and would leave everything to me. He didn't care. The dark red divine dragon was stupefied. This elder really was bold, truly not scared that Immortal Palace would suffer internal strife and split apart. No one dared to split. Right at this moment, Xing Tian spoke coldly. Alright, no one dared to split up. But what if those elders deliberately made things difficult for them? That old man didn't even show up? Lin Xian shook his head. They could only rely on themselves in the future. What the fuck? How is this supposed to be fun? The dark red divine dragon felt a headache coming. Although joining Immortal Palace would allow them to enjoy endless treasures, the current situation wasn't good enough. Both of them didn't have any foundation. If they were to join out of nowhere, Even if they became Immortal Palace's palace masters, those people wouldn't listen to them willingly. If they were to do something behind their backs, it would be difficult to manage them in the future. Xing Tian, what would happen next? Lin Xian asked. There would be a simple ceremony. Although it wouldn't be that grand, it was still the handover of the palace master's position. Those elders would still come. How many elders would there be? Lin Xian asked. Those that were too far away wouldn't come. After all, they all had their own missions. There were probably a few hundred of them nearby. There would probably be even more young geniuses. In addition to the others, there would probably be a few thousand people. Those who would come were all elites. Normal members wouldn't be able to come at all. A few thousand people was already a lot. Lin Xian felt a headache coming. He was afraid that those people would definitely make things difficult for him during this ceremony. However, he wasn't afraid. Anyway, the position of palace master was handed to him personally by Xia Jiuyou. Those old guys wouldn't dare to be too presumptuous. As for the younger generation, he wasn't afraid at all. Since he was going to take over, Lin Xian wouldn't be lenient. He wanted to build an immortal palace that belonged to him. 3 days later, I'm looking forward to it. For the next 2 days, Lin Xian didn't come out. He cultivated silently and adjusted his body to the peak. He knew that there would definitely be people who were unhappy with the handover ceremony. Only by adjusting his combat strength to the peak would he be able to make a move. Fortunately, with the 2 spiritual liquids, his body had already recovered. Therefore, after 2 days of adjustment, he was completely at the peak. The ceremony wasn't held here. It was somewhere else. However, there was a super teleportation array on Qingxia Peak. The group quickly used the super teleportation array and left this place. Light flickered. When Lin Xian and the others came out, they frowned, because they realized that the ceremony wasn't as simple as the legends said. In Lin Xian's opinion, the handover ceremony was probably just to announce orders and worship the heavens and earth. However, he realized that it was far more complicated than that. In front of them were countless palaces that looked like stars. In front of these palaces, there was a vast plaza. The plaza was filled with people, forming a dense black mass. Their expressions were solemn, and their auras were strong. They were like 100,000 mountains that pressed down in front of them, making it hard for them to breathe. The entire void was distorted. These people stood in the east, and north of them was an ancient altar. It was very large and pitch black like black jade. There were 4 heavenly pillars around the altar that emitted a desolate aura. The 4 pillars were carved with the 4 divine beasts: azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise. Not only that, the altar was even more desolate, as if it wasn't a dead object but a living thing. Chapter 2373. However, ordinary people might be frightened, but he had experienced many life and death situations. Therefore, although the commotion was frightening, it was not enough to scare him. Let's go. Lin Xian strode forward. Xing Tian was surprised because Lin Xian's performance surprised him. Under normal circumstances, even peerless geniuses, saints, and princes would be worried when they saw such a scene. After all, the people in front were all peerless powerhouses. Moreover, they were coming menacingly. However, the young man in front of him was not afraid at all. He walked forward with large strides. He did not dare to delay, and quickly followed behind. As Lin Xian walked, countless powerhouses in front of him also looked over. Each of them was like a lamp that pierced through the void. The wind and clouds in the sky changed, and there were even thunderbolts descending. Those people wanted to see what kind of person could take over the position of Immortal Palace's hall master. However, when they saw Lin Xian, they all shook their heads and sighed. Their faces were filled with disappointment. That was because he was too young. Previously, they thought that he would be at least a few hundred years old, but now it seemed that it was beyond their expectations. Those people were all peerless powerhouses. They could see the other party's bones and fate at a glance. He was at most in his 20s. Even if such a person had cultivated since he was in his mother's womb, he would only have been in his 20s. How could he be the hall master of Immortal Palace? They did not believe it at all. A person in his 20s wanted to lead them? What a joke. That's right. Why would the hall master make such a decision? I can't accept it. I can't stand being commanded by a brat in his 20s. Those people discussed animatedly, especially the elders. Their faces were gloomy. Those young geniuses were also displeased. His aura was not strong at all. He was not as strong as them. If he can take over, why can't they? That's right. They could not accept it. Let him try it out. Let him know how powerful they are. The young geniuses were even more dissatisfied. Why could he be the hall master, but they could not? They decided that they would teach the other party a lesson later. All of you quiet down. At that moment, a cold snort sounded, and then everyone quieted down. That was because the voice was too terrifying. 6 figures walked out from the front. The auras of these 6 people gathered together, forming a world that suppressed the area. 6 protectors. These 6 people were the 6 people that Xiaojuyo had specially summoned. At this moment, an old man among the 6 said, "This is the palace master's decision. Are you going to go against it?" He didn't dare. An elder shook his head. "How could we dare to go against the palace lord's decision? It's just that we're not convinced." "That's right, he's just a young man in his 20s. What ability does this kid have? He dared to control a mortal palace?" The other person said coldly, "Even if it was an order from the palace master. If this brat could not complete the ceremony, he would not be able to become the palace master." As soon as these words were spoken, Boucharin nodded and sneered. Indeed, the position of a mortal palace lord wasn't that easy. Lin Xian strode to the front, looked at the countless experts, and said in a clear voice, "My name is Lin Xian. I wasn't originally someone from a mortal palace, but after receiving old Xia's favor, he had me take over Immortal Palace. From today onwards, I hope that everyone will work together to achieve Immortal Palace's goal." Lin Xian's voice was loud and clear. His aura was stable, and it was clearly transmitted to everyone's ears. His voice shocked many people, because in such a huge scene, the other party didn't panic at all. This was really surprising. However, there were some elders who sneered in disdain. One of them, Elder Lingshu, snorted coldly. "Brat, it's a little too early to say that. It's not too late to say that after you pass the ceremony." "That's right. That's right." Many people were discussing. After hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. What? From the other party's words, could it be that there's danger in the ceremony? There's a chance of failure. "Brat, do you think the ceremony is so easy to complete? Do you think it's so easy to be the palace lord of a mortal palace? Let me tell you, even if you're strong and talented, you can't become the palace lord if you don't have the life." "What does this mean?" Lin Xian's frown deepened. Xing Tian's expression also changed as he said in a deep voice, "Elder Lingshu, the position of palace lord has already been passed on to the young master. We only need to carry out a simple ceremony. Why do you want to use the ancient ceremony from before?" There were 2 types of ceremonies. The first was a simple ceremony, which meant that the position had been given up. The second was when the position wasn't passed on. The ceremony depended on one's strength, talent, and luck. It could be said to be extremely dangerous. They didn't expect that Lin Xian would still get the position of palace lord. But these elders still chose the most dangerous ceremony. It was obvious that they didn't want Lin Xian to be the palace lord. However, Elder Lingshu snorted coldly. "We're just doing things according to the rules. If he can't even pass these 3 stages, what qualifications does he have to be our palace lord? What qualifications does he have to lead us?" That's right, that's right. The remaining elders and young geniuses were also discussing spiritedly. "You." Xing Tian's expression was gloomy. "What? Do you want to rebel?" However, at this moment, Lin Xian waved his hand to stop them. Then he stood out, glanced around, and asked coldly, "If I complete the 3 stages of the ceremony, you'll be willing to acknowledge me as the palace lord, right?" Hearing this, everyone was stunned. The entire place was silent. They didn't expect him to ask this question. What did he want to do? Did he really want to try the 3 stages of the ceremony? "Young master, you can't. This ancient ceremony is extremely dangerous." Xing Tian, who was behind him, quickly reminded him. However, Lin Xian shook his head. It didn't matter. It seemed that these elders were very concerned about the 3 stages of the ceremony. He was just worried about how to intimidate these people. If this was a simple ritual, And he was just the new palace master arranged by the old palace master. He was afraid that these people would not be obedient in the future. They might even not care about him. If he completed the 3 stages of the ceremony, he might be able to intimidate them completely. At least, he could intimidate most of them. In this way, it would be much more convenient for him to do things in the future. Chapter 2374. Alright. If I fail, I'll leave completely and never return to Immortal Palace. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. Young master, you can't. Behind him, Xing Tianjiao exclaimed. Lin Xian's words had already been spoken. After hearing it, the surrounding elders and geniuses all laughed out loud. Elder Lingxiu even sneered, because they didn't think that the other party could pass the 3 ancient sacrificial stages. Only the old palace master, Xia Jiuyou, had participated in this kind of sacrificial ceremony. Countless years ago, the previous palace master of Immortal Palace suddenly passed away. There was no new palace master, but the various experts of Immortal Palace fought for it. In the end, they had no choice but to use the 3 sacrificial stages. A total of 5 peerless experts and 3 top geniuses participated together. Those people were all extremely terrifying, far beyond the imagination of these people. However, in the end, only Xia Jiuyou passed. The others all failed. There were even 2 who were directly killed. And now, this young brat in front of them, an ordinary powerhouse, actually wanted to take this test? Wasn't this purely courting death? However, Lin Xian was fearless. If he couldn't even do this, how could he be the palace master of Immortal Palace? How could he lead this group of experts? Seeing that Lin Xian was determined to pass the 3 stages, Elder Lingxiu sneered. Brat, you're courting death. You can't blame us. 6 protectors, please open it. Elder Lingxiu said to the 6 figures in front of him. The 6 protectors sighed and discussed with each other. Then, their figures flickered and appeared around the altar. One by one, they formed seals with their palms, striking out mysterious runes and slapping forward. The black altar bloomed with incomparable light. It shot straight into the sky. Then, a black waterfall cascaded down, slowly forming countless steps that led to the sky. The first stage was the Stairway to Heaven. The Black Stairway to Heaven had a total of 99 levels. Only by reaching the top could one be considered to have passed. Among the 6 protectors, an old man said in a deep voice. At this moment, all of the elders and young geniuses cast their gazes forward. A hint of seriousness appeared in their eyes. Because just the aura alone was enough to shock them, they reckoned that even peerless experts couldn't reach it. Only an extremely terrifying person like the previous palace master would be able to ascend to the 99th floor. It could be said that the first stage of the 3 stages was incomparably difficult. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. His gaze flickered as he looked ahead. Then, he took a step forward and walked towards the black altar. Young master! Xing Tian exclaimed from behind. The dark red divine dragon said from the side. Kid, be careful. This aura is very strange. Lin Xian strode to the ancient altar and stepped onto the black altar. In the next moment he walked up the black stairs. When he stepped onto the first step, a shocking light erupted, and countless black torrents rushed into the sky. A terrifying black ripple spread out. A strong gale swept across, causing their clothes to flutter. However, these people were all experts. Despite the intensity of the storm, no one dared to move. They stood as their eyes. Rs suent ts take you. Then he took a step forward and walked forward. With every step he took, he could feel the pressure in front of him getting heavier. The space around him condensed, trying to crush him. With this kid's strength, I dare say that he can only reach the 10th level at most. He won't be able to reach the 10th level. An elder snorted, but soon, he opened his mouth in disbelief. That was because Lin Xian had reached the 10th level in an instant. Damn it! How did he do it? Those people couldn't believe it. However, someone still said just wait and see. The pressure will multiply after the 10th level. It would be the same for every 10th level. With his strength, the 20th level was the highest level. He would probably be seriously injured at the 30th level. If he continued to force his way up, he would probably be immediately eliminated. Lin Xian silently sensed the 99th level of the black stairs. Then the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. In the next moment he didn't move. Instead he stood on the 10th step and turned his head to look down. Today, I'll let you see if I'm qualified to become the master of Immortal Palace. Don't be so arrogant. We'll talk after you get up there. Those young elites snorted coldly. They were very unhappy that the other party was so arrogant. Those elders' faces were also gloomy, and none of them said anything. Lin Xian ignored them and turned around. In the next moment, the great dragon sword soul in his body rumbled, and a dragon's roar sounded. A terrifying dragon shadow rushed out of his body. What is that? Behind him, those elders and prodigies were all stunned. They cried out in surprise. Dragon, it's a dragon! How could there be a dragon in his body? Roar! A loud dragon's roar sounded. The great dragon sword soul fought against the 99th level of the black stairs. Buzz! The great dragon sword soul continued to grow in size, covering the 99th level of the stairs. Lin Xian stepped on the divine dragon and quickly walked forward. The black stairs that looked like the stairs of gods and demons were incomparably sacred in the eyes of everyone. However, Lin Xian walked with ease. When he stepped onto the 99th level and looked down at his surroundings, the elders and prodigies below were all stunned. Their eyes widened, and their minds went blank. Damn it, how did he do it? What is that dragon shadow? Damn it! Could that be a secret ultimate move that the old temple master gave him? I don't believe it. How could that kid be so powerful? They were extremely shocked and could not believe it. Some of the prodigies even suspected that the ancient altar had existed for too long and was broken. Indeed, they did not believe it. In an instant, a few prodigies rushed over. They also wanted to give it a try. If they could reach the top, it meant that the 3 stages of the test were indeed broken. Bang! 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 However, when they reached the 10th level, they vomited blood and flew backward. The highest among them reached the 20th level, but most of the bones in his body were broken. Damn it, that was terrifying. When those people came down, their bodies were covered in blood, and their faces were filled with fear. The people around them were also shocked. The 3 prodigies were injured in an instant. It could be imagined that the ancient altar was not broken. However, the other party easily reached the 99th level. Moreover, he was unharmed. They were shocked. Could it be that the other party was destined to become the master of the Immortal Palace? Those people did not know, but they knew that the young man in front of them was definitely incomparably mysterious. Those elders were also silent. Elder Lynx's face was dark, and he gritted his teeth. Don't be too proud. This is only the first stage. I don't believe that you can pass the 2nd and 3rd stages. The 6 guardians looked at the figure in the clouds, their eyelids twitching. Now, they seemed to understand why the old temple master insisted on passing the position to this young man. The other party's move was simply a miracle. They were completely stunned. The 2nd stage, Zhan Luanhui. Chapter 2375. The 2nd stage, Zhan Luanhui. The 6 guardians said coldly as they changed their hand seals again. Instantly, the 99% black staircase disappeared slowly. Lin Xian also came down from the clouds. He was still standing on the black altar. 6 paths of reincarnation. The 6 guardians quickly formed hand seals. The black altar shook, and 6 black holes appeared around it. They spun rapidly and emitted a mysterious aura, as if they were connected to 6 worlds. These 6 black holes instantly enveloped Lin Xian. The surrounding elders and prodigies waited patiently. This 2nd stage was very magical. It could make one fall into an illusion and reincarnate 100 times. If one's consciousness wasn't strong enough, they would probably be trapped inside forever. So the faster one came out, the stronger they were. He set a time limit of 1 incense stick. If the 6 black holes didn't disappear within that time, it meant that he had failed. Just wait and see. This kid will definitely not succeed. That's right. Even such a terrifying figure back then was lost in it. How could this kid succeed? Those elders sneered. Elder Lingshu snorted as well, his lips curling into a cold smile. But the next moment they were stunned once again. Their eyeballs almost popped out. They couldn't help but be shocked. Because the 6 black holes on the black altar in front of them had disappeared. Disappeared without a trace. Damn it! What happened? Why did the 6 black holes disappear? The altar couldn't have been broken, right? Impossible. Could it be that he passed? Heavens! I don't believe it. Who could pass in such a short time? His soul probably hasn't entered yet, right? These people discuss fervently. Even the 6 guardians looked at each other. Because they had never encountered such a strange thing before. To be honest, this was also their first time activating the 3 views of the sacrificial ritual. All the scenes and reactions were performed according to the ancient books. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be wrong. But why did the black vortex disappear? The 6 elders were puzzled. They formed hand seals again and formed 6 black holes, enveloping Lin Xian. But not long later, the 6 black holes disappeared again. Lin Xian's figure appeared again. Seeing this scene, these people exclaimed, "Oh no, it must be broken." There was nothing they could do about it. They didn't believe that the other party would be able to break through it in an instant. However, Lin Xian had a helpless look on his face. Because he had indeed succeeded. Of course, he had to thank his Tianji divine eyes. When the 6 black holes opened, Lin Xian felt as if 6 worlds were calling out to him. However, at this moment, his heavenly secret god eyes had also opened. The golden light quickly turned into mysterious runes, resisting the 6 mysterious worlds. It made him retreat in an instant. The faster one exited the second stage, the more powerful one was. Lin Xian exited the dungeon almost instantly. It could be said that he had successfully cleared the dungeon. However, this speed was too fast. So much so that it scared these people. Even these people believed that the ancient altar was broken. Damn it, I don't believe it. A few Zhangs clenched their teeth and stepped onto the black altar, ready to give it a try. When the 6 black holes appeared, the eyes of these elders went blank as they were pulled into 6 different worlds. The rest of the people waited patiently. Lin Xian also retreated to the side with his arms crossed and a smile on his face. After half an hour, the 6 black holes still hadn't disappeared. This shocked everyone. Half an hour was the limit. If the black holes didn't disappear after half an hour, it meant that they had failed. This meant that the black altar wasn't broken. The second stage wasn't broken either. However, what was going on with the other party? The 6 guardians made hand seals and removed the black vortex. Those few elders were still in a daze, and they were quickly carried away by people. The other party had successfully cleared the second stage. Everyone looked at each other, feeling that it was unreal. Elder Lingshu gritted his teeth and said, "No, he had to try again. Otherwise we won't agree." Left with no choice, Lin Xian went up and tried again. However, this time, the 6 of them made hand seals, and the 6 black holes didn't appear. Instead, countless runes floated in the air and condensed to form 2 words. Cleared. Everyone was dumbfounded. What was going on? Even the ancient black altar had directly cleared the dungeon. This kid was too heaven-defying. They had the urge to vomit blood. The 6 guardian elders' mouths also twitched. It seemed like there was no need to test again. The other party should have passed the second stage. Next up was the final stage, which was also the most important stage. That was the immortal commanding constellation. This stage was extremely difficult. What was tested wasn't strength, soul, or talent but fate. Fate was something that was extremely ethereal. No one in this world could say for sure. Perhaps even the great emperor couldn't say for sure. However, it truly existed. As for the third test, it was a test of this illusory fate. The black altar quickly condensed, forming a pitch-black immortal throne, emitting an ancient aura. It floated in the air. Lin Xian would sit on it. If he had the life to become the immortal palace lord, he would be safe. If he didn't have the life to become the immortal palace lord, he would be instantly injured. If it was light, he would be seriously injured and sent flying. If it was heavy, he would be directly squeezed by this power and turn into a bloody mist. It could be said that it was extremely dangerous. Back then, among the few experts who fought with Xia Jiuyo, 2 of them were directly killed. There was no chance at all. That was a genius, but he was killed just like that. One could imagine how dangerous the third stage was. At this moment, even the dark red divine dragon was nervous. Lin Xian also took a deep breath. Elder Ling Xu sneered below. Kid, I'll give you one last chance. Obediently admit defeat. This way you can still save your life. Otherwise, you will probably lose your life. Why do you have to give up your life for the immortal palace lord? It's not worth it for you. I advise you to obediently give up. Not only him, but the other elders and young geniuses also advised him. They looked very friendly, but in fact they didn't think that Lin Xian could succeed. Lin Xian took a deep breath and ignored these people. Instead, he turned to look at the pitch-black immortal throne in front of him. The first stage was the great dragon sword soul. The second stage was the heavenly secret divine eye. And what was the third stage? There probably wasn't anything that could help him. It seemed like he could only take a gamble on fate. Buzz. Lin Xian took a deep breath and walked forward. Soon, he arrived in front of the black immortal throne. Turning around, Lin Xian slowly sat down. At this moment, his heart was in his throat. Needless to say, he was also very nervous. However, he had to do this step. Buzz. Lin Xian sat on the black immortal throne and felt a strange aura enveloping him. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds. Everyone waited for 5 seconds and found that nothing happened. Moreover, these people wouldn't wander around if they had nothing to do. They would rather cultivate than waste time. Young master, you're up. Xing Tian was still waiting outside. Lin Xian nodded and said, Give me an order. Give me an order. Have all of Immortal Palace's younger generation. Unless there are special circumstances. Within the remaining 3 days, all of them are to arrive. The young generation. Hearing this, Xing Tian frowned. It seemed that the young master was going to take action. He said, I'll go give the order now. However, he didn't leave. Instead, he said, Young master, other than me, the 6 great protectors are also trustworthy. The 6 great protectors? I got it. If there are difficulties, I'll ask them for help. Lin Xian nodded. Xing Tian strode away to pass on the order. Sigh. Lin Xian sighed. Chapter 2377. Sigh. Lin Xian sighed. On the side, the dark red divine dragon said, Kid, what are you sighing for? You're the master of Immortal Palace. You can do whatever you want when you go out in the future. It's not that simple. Although you're the palace master, you have too few people under you. Don't talk about doing whatever you want. You can't even send a message now. Lin Xian shook his head. Indeed, there was only Xing Tian under him now. There was no one else. Xing Tian was sent by Xia Juyo to protect his safety. But now he became an errand boy. There was no choice. Lin Xian had no one else, so he had to quickly gather the younger generation. He had to quickly establish his own foundation of power. Although Xing Tian said that the 6 great protectors would do their best to help him, the 6 great protectors had their own missions after all. Moreover, although using the 6 great protectors could suppress for a while, it wasn't a long-term solution. Lin Xian's order was quickly passed down. Those young geniuses who hadn't left stopped their journey. Those who had already left also hurried back. There was no choice. Although they were unwilling, this was the new palace master's first order after all. They weren't willing to violate it. These people hurried back one after another. In the 9 great imperial dynasties, those young warriors in the halls also moved when they received this news. What new palace master? He was just a brat. What was he doing? Those hall masters were very disdainful and didn't care. They also ignored it. Among them, a few young men also sneered. Let me see what this palace master looks like. I want to see what qualifications he has to lead us. 3 days later, when Lin Xian came out of the main hall and looked at the square in front of him, he was also extremely shocked, because there were countless figures standing in front of him. These were all young warriors of Immortal Palace. They had talent and strength. More importantly, they had Immortal Palace behind them. They had powerful resources and countless cultivation methods and abilities. It could be said that their future achievements were limitless. At the front, when the young martial practitioners saw Lin Xian come out, their eyes lit up as they looked over carefully. After all, this was the new palace master. Many young geniuses had seen Lin Xian before, but there were also many who hadn't. These people had all rushed over from other places. When they saw Lin Xian, who seemed to be even younger than them, they were all shocked. He couldn't even believe it. Too young. Although they knew that the other party was a young man, they did not expect him to be so young. Could such a person really lead them? They didn't know and were extremely doubtful. However, rules still had to be followed. Thus, at this moment, everyone shouted in unison, paying their respects to the palace master. Lin Xian nodded his head slightly. Regardless of whether these people were sincere or not, the current scene had truly shocked him. My name is Lin Xian, Immortal Palace's new palace master. I believe some of you have already met me. It doesn't matter if you haven't seen me before. From now on, you will know me. As for how I became the palace master, you can ask your friends. I think they won't forget what happened that day. Upon hearing this, many young sky prides rolled their eyes. However, the other party was right. They would probably never forget the scene of that day for the rest of their lives. At this moment, Lin Xian said in a clear voice again. This time, I've gathered you here to select a group of elites from you and focus on nurturing them. Select the elites and focus on nurturing them. Hearing this, these people were in an uproar. To be honest, they didn't expect it either. Previously, they only thought that the new palace master wanted to meet them, and they also wanted to meet the so-called new palace master. Perhaps they didn't expect that the other party would actually choose the elites among them. How would they choose? Would they compete? Many people were excited. After all, if they were chosen, they would definitely receive more resources. However, some people sneered disdainfully. Among them, a few people had contempt in their eyes. They were originally curious about what kind of person the new palace master was. But now that they saw him, they were extremely disappointed. As for the selection, they didn't need it. Of course, those who made these disdainful sounds were the elites of the 9 great halls. They were originally valued by the halls. In fact, some of the sons of the halls were here. They could tell at a glance what Lin Xian wanted to do. He definitely wanted to rope them in and establish his own faction. They were not interested in such a thing. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes flickered as he looked down. He was looking at everyone's expression. Then, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. Now let's begin the selection. There are a total of 2 stages. Do your best to break through. After Lin Xian finished speaking, he waved his hand. Immediately, the great dragon sword soul flew out and descended from the sky, forming a stairway with 99 steps. At the same time, Lin Xian formed a seal with his palms. His heavenly secret divine eyes quickly rotated and emitted mysterious runes, forming a golden vortex. What? This is... When the young elites saw this scene, they were extremely shocked. Why does it look similar to the 3 stages of the sacrificial ceremony? 99 steps, 6 paths of reincarnation. Although there was only one golden vortex, the terrifying aura it emitted was extremely terrifying. That move shocked everyone. That's the new palace master? Judging from his aura, he's not very strong. But I didn't expect him to be so clever. Humph. The 9 people at the entrance of the Great Hall also snorted lightly, then sneered disdainfully. What's so special about that? He must have used some secret technique after becoming the palace master. If I become the palace master, it'll definitely be stronger than him. Ruffian Dragon, I'll leave the selection to you. Xing Tian, invite the sons of the 9 great halls over. They don't need to be selected. Don't worry, kid. The dark red divine dragon said with a smile. Xing Tian also walked forward and invited the 9 palace masters over. Lin Xian turned around and entered the great hall to wait. Indeed, the 9 palace masters did not need to be selected because their identities were not ordinary. If nothing went wrong, they would be the future palace masters. They were different from the others. Lin Xian wanted to meet the 9 palace masters alone. However, only 7 of the 9 palace masters came, because the other 2 palace masters had special missions and did not come at all. So be it. Lin Xian did not care about the 7 palace masters. Among the 7 palace masters, some were tall and some were short, but all of them had a look of arrogance and confidence on their faces. Lin Xian had seen that expression on the faces of countless peerless geniuses before. Therefore, he did not care about it. When the 7 palace masters saw Lin Xian, They did not pay any attention to any special etiquette. Instead, they looked at him unscrupulously. A few of them even had a trace of provocation in their eyes. Among them, a handsome young man looked at Lin Xian and sneered. Is this the new palace master you chose? I think he's not even as good as me. Why don't you let me be the palace master? I promise I'll make the immortal palace shine. Chapter 2378. Hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Xing Tian, who was at the side, shouted angrily. Yang Jian, what do you mean? Are you thinking of rebelling? Alright, don't scare me. Xing Tian, do you really think he can be the hall master? He's just a young kid who isn't as strong as us. Who can submit to him? This is a joke. I don't have time to play with you guys here. As he said that, Yang Jian snorted coldly, flicked his sleeves, and turned to leave. The other 6 people sneered. They wanted to see what the new hall master would do. He was slapped in the face as soon as he entered. He's probably mad. However, the 6 of them were soon stunned. They realized that he was still smiling and didn't look angry at all. What's going on? Could it be that he's not angry at all? Pretentious. He must be pretentious. He must be furious, but he didn't show it on his face. The few of them thought. Someone else snorted coldly. So he's just a fool. Sure enough, after that 2 more people sneered. Since there's nothing else, we'll take our leave. As they said that, the 2 of them left. Now there were only 4 people left. 1 pound. Xing Tian's face was gloomy. Lin Xian, on the other hand, looked at the 4 of them. Then he asked why. Aren't the 4 of you leaving? Hee, we don't want to leave yet. A young man said with a smile. He sat down on a chair and crossed his legs. His expression was very relaxed. The other 3 also sat down. Don't want to leave? Alright then. Lin Xian waved his hand, and a cup of spirit tea appeared in his hand. Then, he flicked his finger, and 4 teacups instantly appeared on the table of the 4 of them. Phew! Lin Xian raised the glass teacup and poured himself a cup. Then he poured it into the air. The strange thing was that the tea seemed to be affected by magic in the air, and instantly surged into the teacups of the 4 of them. Not a single drop leaked out. Lin Xian placed the teapot on the table and picked up the cup. Try it. This is a spirit tea that I specially made. It's very delicious. As he said that, he took a sip. The young man who had his legs crossed took the lead, and took a sip. The other 3 took a sip, and then put down their teacups. I'm a very easy person to get along with. Since we've drunk tea, we're friends. It was just that Kai didn't know how to address number 4. Hui Chen, the son of the 5th hall master. Chen Haoyu, the son of the 7th hall master. Lu Jia, the son of the 8th hall master. Du Shengwei, the son of the 4th hall master. Su Chen silently remembered their names, and then said, Tomorrow, I'll invite everyone to go hunting. He hoped that all 4 of them would come. Since the 3 of them have left, I hope that the 4 of you will inform the others. Although they left today, I don't blame them. He hoped that they would come tomorrow as well. After saying this, Lin Xian stood up and left. At the side, Xing Tian followed behind. After they came out, Xing Tian took a deep breath. The first to leave was the 3rd hall master's son Yang Jian. The 2 who walked behind him were the sons of Hall Master 6 and Hall Master 9. One was called Pei Yuan, and the other was called Xiaohui. The 3 of them were in cahoots. Among them, the 3rd hall master was very domineering. He was usually very arrogant. Now that the old hall master had abdicated, and the young master had just ascended to the throne, he would probably not take you seriously. 3rd hall master. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Then he came to the square again and looked into the distance. At this moment, those people were conducting the test in the square. After watching for a while, Lin Xian went back. There was no need for him to stay here. He just needed to let the dark red divine dragon report the results when the time came. As expected, when night fell, the dark red divine dragon came in. This kid took in a total of 500 people. Among them, more than 30 of them probably came with a purpose. They should be the spies of the various halls. As expected, they still made a move. Lin Xian frowned. Then he asked, Are the remaining people reliable? They were all reliable. They didn't have much of a relationship with the halls. Most of them were suppressed and couldn't survive in the first place. At this moment, we're providing him with an opportunity. So these people rushed over. That's good. Lin Xian nodded. Then he said, don't touch those spies. Just alienate them, so that they can't come into contact with our core members. That was easy, the dark red divine dragon said. Then Lin Xian said, pick out the 200 strongest elites from the remaining 400 people. Carry out special training. As for the remaining 100 or so, let them train hard. Every month they would undergo a challenge. Those who could defeat 200 elite members would directly enter the elite group. Good idea. I'll do it right away. The dark red divine dragon smiled. Lin Xian said again, all right, find me a few smart ones from these people. I'm really short on manpower. All right, wait for me. The dark red divine dragon left quickly. Actually, it was very troublesome for him to pick people. However, Lin Xian's 6 paths of reincarnation allowed him to see through all these people's experiences and characters. Therefore, he knew what these people were like, and whether they were spies or not. Xing Tian, help me lead those 200 elite groups. You must give them the strictest training. Yes, young master. Xing Tian nodded. Not long after, the dark red divine dragon returned. This time he brought back 5 people. These 5 people followed behind the dark red divine dragon. They were very excited and nervous. They came in front of Lin Xian and respectfully called out, greetings, Hallmaster. What are your names? Lin Xian asked. Zhang Chao, Zheng Yan, Wang Bin, Lu Kai, Sun Xiao. Well, you guys can follow me for the time being. Yes, young master. The 5 of them were excited. Lin Xian said, Ruffian dragon, give them some instructions. Come with me. The dark red divine dragon waved his dragon claws excitedly. 1 pound. Xing Tian frowned slightly. Young master, although these people are very talented and loyal, they're still very weak. However, compared to the top geniuses, he was still a little lacking. Lin Xian nodded. Compared to the sons of the 9 hallmasters, they were indeed a bit weaker. As for those who had strength and talent, they had long been divided up by the 9 great halls. The remaining ones were usually suppressed. Lin Xian turned around and looked at Xing Tian. You know Immortal Palace well. Don't tell me that there aren't some people who come and go independently, and are not restricted by any hall masters? Young master, there really are people like that. There are quite a few of them. However, they are very difficult to subdue. Previously, they only listened to the old hallmaster. The 9 hallmasters couldn't order them around. They even tried to recruit them more than once, but they were all mercilessly rejected. There really are people like that. Give me a few of the younger generation. Xing Tian thought for a moment and said, Young master, why don't I give them an order and ask them to hurry back? Are they outside now? Lin Xian asked. These people don't have any missions. They're probably cultivating. All right, there's no need to ask them to come over. I'll look for them personally. Soon Lin Xian left. Chapter 2379. Whoosh. A black ray of light streaked across the sky and then disappeared. The full moon hung in the sky, illuminating the earth. At this moment, Lin Xian was walking through the forest like a ghost. There was a huge waterfall in front of him, making rumbling sounds. A figure was sitting cross-legged under the waterfall. He was like a statue, not moving at all. Beside him, there was a saber stuck in the ground. On the other side was a full moon scimitar. The surrounding space was strangely distorted, and even light couldn't pass through it. Buzz! Suddenly, the figure opened his eyes and cut the waterfall in front of him. Who is it? Come out! Whoosh! Lin Xian's figure appeared behind him. In front of him, the seated figure also stood up. His gaze was as sharp as a blade as it cut through the void. However, he was blocked 3 meters in front of Lin Xian. There was an invisible force around him that blocked his terrifying gaze. Seeing this, the figure frowned. Who are you? Lin Xian didn't answer. Instead, he asked, Are you Hui Dao? That's right. The figure in front of him answered coldly, and the light in his eyes became stronger, because he realized that the other party didn't answer his question. After Lin Xian got the answer, a smile appeared on his face. Very well. From today onward, you'll follow me. You're courting death. Hui Dao was furious. No one had ever dared to say such words to him. He was a young expert of a mortal palace. Clang! With a clang, the full moon scimitar beside him was pulled out. The surrounding clouds changed, and the sky lost its color. The terrifying blade light swept in all directions. A huge wave of energy slashed forward. Whoosh! When Hui Dao moved, Lin Xian also moved. His figure swayed and disappeared on the spot. The moment he disappeared, the space where he was standing was split into two, and terrifying black cracks spread. Buzz! Hu Yidio's saber struck the air, and he frowned. The other party's speed was faster than he had expected. However, so what? Whoosh! His gaze was like lightning as he scanned the surroundings. Soon, he locked onto his opponent on the left. In the next moment, the crescent blade in his hand slashed out again. It was as if a purple thunder had descended upon the world. Clang! The sound of an intense collision rang out, and the full moon scimitar was blocked in midair. An ancient sword swept across the sky, cutting through everything. Who are you? Hui Dao furrowed his brows. His opponent was very strong. He was actually able to block two of his blades. This surprised him. One had to know that a casual slash of his saber could easily kill a mighty figure. Beat me and I'll tell you. If you lose, you have to come with me and become one of my people. He was overestimating himself. Hui Dao coldly snorted. I only used half of my strength just now. Is that so? Then you should use your full strength. Otherwise, you won't have another chance. Lin Xian smiled. The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand exploded, emitting a biting cold light. He took the initiative to attack. Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword. In an instant, countless sword shadows appeared in the sky. They were like huge dragons as they swept across. Full Moon Blade Technique. The scimitar in Hu Yidio's hand seemed to have turned into a cold moon. It constantly crushed the void and rapidly bombarded the sword chi that filled the sky. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. Everything around them exploded. The tall mountain peak was split into several pieces. The huge waterfall spread out from the middle, and there was no more water flowing. The two of them fought fiercely, emitting a terrifying aura. Demon Seal! Lin Xian coldly shouted. A terrifying aura erupted from the ancient dragon abyss sword. The roar of a dragon and sword resounded. In the sky, countless sword chi appeared and spun nonstop. It was as if they were going to seal the entire world. Hu Yidio's pupils constricted. He felt a threat and immediately roared. Death Moon! With a slash, the blade chi from the full moon scimitar spun in the sky, forming a purple moon. The terrifying light swept across the surroundings like a real full moon. It carried a power that made one tremble, as it resisted all the spinning sword chi. The two of them were evenly matched in this attack. Lin Xian was surprised. He was indeed one of the experts that Xing Tian had given him. He was indeed powerful. Hui Dao frowned. Who on earth is this guy? Why can he block my killing move? He thought. Kill! He roared and the aura on his body exploded again. Moon Wheel. The full moon scimitar in his hand swept out. A huge moon pushed across the sky, shattering the sword chi that filled the sky. Battle Song. The ancient dragon abyss sword shone brightly. The sword hummed continuously, shaking the heavens and the earth. A terrifying demonic sound appeared, making everyone's hair stand on end. The moon that was pushed over also trembled. Then countless cracks appeared on it. Sky shattering. With another sword, the heavens and the earth lost their color. The terrifying full moon directly collapsed, turning into countless spiritual chi and dissipating. A terrifying sword chi rose from the heavens and the earth. Buzz! Feeling the terrifying sword chi, Hui Dao roared. His black hair fluttered in the wind. His body shone with a terrifying blade light. It shot into the sky, resisting the shocking sword chi. As the blade and sword collided, countless large cracks appeared in the sky. The surrounding ground was covered with tens of thousands of meters wide canyons. The terrifying blade light and sword shadows enveloped everything within tens of thousands of miles. Ah, kid, you've completely infuriated me. Today, I'll let you see my true blade skills. Demon Slaying Blade. At this moment, Hu Yidio's aura changed. It was also extremely sharp and terrifying. Dense black energy surged from his body. At this moment, it was as if he had turned into a demon king. His shocking murderous aura shot into the sky. As he slashed out, the black blade light was terrifying. It was as if a demon king had come out. Oomph. Now this is interesting. Seeing the other party's violent and cold demonic blade, Lin Xian laughed. The great dragon sword soul in his body roared. His eyes emitted a piercing light. Buzz! 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 The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand swung wildly. Its power increased exponentially. The sword swept out in all directions. In the sky, countless blade light and sword shadows collided, making sonorous sounds. 18 demon-slaying slashes. Huidao roared angrily. His body quickly rose into the sky. He quickly waved the full moon blade in his hand. 18 rays of blade light rolled out like deadly blade energy, rampaging in the sky. Kid, go to hell! He roared crazily, wanting to kill the strong enemy in front of him. Buzz! Lin Xian held the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand. The great dragon sword soul in his body erupted again, becoming more and more powerful. In the end, the dragon's roar could be heard. The surrounding wind blew violently. Heaven and earth lost their color. The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand suddenly expanded. It turned into a giant sword that was 1,000 meters long. Lin Xian held it with both hands and slashed forward. Lin Xian roared angrily. He waved the giant ancient sword and slashed forward. The whole world was split open by the sword. Airwaves rolled and slapped in all directions. There was a huge crack in the sky. Along with the ancient sword, it kept appearing in the surroundings. Boom! 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 18 rays of black blade light, and the giant ancient sword collided in the sky, setting off a terrifying storm. Chapter 2380. Damn it, how could his sword chi be so powerful? Hu Yidio's expression changed and he kept retreating. However, the ancient sword was too terrifying. It directly crushed the 18 demonic sabers, and then pressed down on Huidao. Huidao roared and once again released a terrifying black saber light, forming a black moon in the sky to resist. 1, 2, 3. In the end, 9 moons rotated in the sky, as if they were going to destroy the entire world. Boom! Boom! However, the sword was too terrifying. In the end, the 9 moons were shattered and turned into billowing demonic chi. Huidao was once again enveloped. Phantom steps. At the critical moment, a black aura erupted from Hu Yidio's body, forming 2 black demonic wings that cut through the void. Relying on his superb speed, Huidao finally dodged the sword by a hair's breadth. Phew! He panted heavily, and his face was a little pale. Damn it, who is this person? His sword technique is so terrifying. His face was gloomy. He realized that he had encountered a powerful enemy. Not bad, you actually dodged my sword. You're very strong and have gained my approval. At that moment, a calm voice floated from behind Huidao. Buzz! Hu Yidio's body stiffened, and his pupils suddenly shrank to the size of needles. Damn it, when did the other party get behind me? Whoosh! He did not turn his head and slashed with his saber. At the same time, the demonic wings on his back brought him forward. Clang! The full moon saber collided with the ancient dragon abyss sword and made a thunderous sound. Then Huidao flew forward. However, his arm was numb, and the huge force caused the blood in his body to freeze. The sword suppressed the heavens. A terrifying sword chi appeared in the sky, like a huge dragon that kept circling. The sword chi that filled the sky turned into a sword diagram and pressed down from the sky. Get lost! Huidao roared and slashed out saber light crazily, tearing the sky apart. However, he could not shake the sword diagram at all. Demon-destroying palm. With a roar, he held the saber in his right hand and slapped out a huge black palm with his left hand. Heaven and earth lost their color. There seemed to be ghostly wails and howls on the black palm, as if it had flown out from hell. Boom! The palm hit the sword diagram, shaking the void. Countless cracks appeared in the surroundings, and demonic chi spread in all directions. The sword diagram also trembled, and more sword light fell down and pierced through the black palm. Buzz! 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 Not only that, 18 sword lights descended like 18 heavenly swords, surrounding Huidao in an instant. Damn it! Huidao roared angrily. The saber radiance on his body was swift and fierce. He wanted to break out. However, he was blocked by the terrifying sword. "You force me." Trapped in the distance, Huidao roared. Countless blades and flags rolled around his body, and a purple mark appeared between his eyebrows. The power in his body was also increasing rapidly. Lin Xian frowned when he saw that. He did not intend to fight a protracted battle with his opponent, so Lin Xian instantly rushed over like a divine dragon swinging its tail. "You want to stop me? Impossible." Huidao sneered. The countless saber lights on his body formed a sphere that completely enveloped the space within a 10-meter radius. No one could break it. Buzz! Soon, Huidao's pupils constricted. That was because the defense formed by the saber light in front of him was cut open by the sword. An ancient sword was placed on his neck. Whoosh! The aura that erupted from his body instantly froze. A drop of cold sweat flowed down from his forehead. That sword was too fast and terrifying. If the other party had not stopped, his head would have been sent flying. "Why didn't you kill me?" Huidao asked with a frown. "You want me to join you? Impossible. Kill me if you have the guts." Buzz! Lin Xian withdrew the ancient dragon abyss sword and said in a deep voice, "I am Lin Xian, the new immortal palace master." "What? You are Lin Xian, the new immortal palace master?" Huidao was shocked. He had naturally seen the announcement from Immortal Palace. He also knew that the old palace master had abdicated, and that a young man had inherited the position of Immortal Palace Master. He did not attend the enthronement ceremony, because he did not think that the other party could lead him. In his eyes, the only person that he respected was the old palace master. But now, the other party's strength had truly shocked him. It seemed that he was wrong. The other party was completely different from the rumors. Although he was young, his strength was undoubtedly at the top of the younger generation. "Follow me. I am in need of people now," Lin Xian said in a deep voice. "Good," Huidao said in a sonorous voice. "Your strength has convinced me. I have decided to work for you. However, if I can defeat you one day, I will leave your side." "Sure." Lin Xian nodded and smiled confidently. That was because he did not think that day would come. "Let's go." Lin Xian turned around and rushed into the sky. Huidao put away the full moon scimitar and followed behind. The two of them disappeared into the night sky one after the other. In the starry hall, the dark red divine dragon and Xing Tian were waiting. Xing Tian was a little worried. That was because he did not know how strong Lin Xian was. Could he defeat Huidao? But soon, his brows twitched, and he looked into the distance. Then he was extremely shocked. That was because he saw two figures in the sky returning quickly and arriving at the hall in the blink of an eye. "Young master." Seeing that Lin Xian had returned, Xing Tian walked up. When he saw Huidao behind Lin Xian, he was also shocked. "1/you." Xing Tian was shocked. Lin Xian smiled. "After 1/, you will be one of us." Hearing this, Xing Tian gasped. It seemed that the young master should have defeated Huidao. However, the battle was over in such a short time. He dared not imagine it, because from the time Lin Xian left until now, excluding the time spent on the road, the battle probably took less than half an hour. He defeated Huidao in the time it took for an incense stick to burn. That shocked Xing Tian. After all, Huidao was a top elite. It seemed that the young master's strength was far beyond his expectations. "Okay, let's take a rest. We still have important things to do tomorrow." Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Xing Tian gave him 3 people, one of whom was Huidao. Now he had subdued him. As for the other 2, Lin Xian was not in a hurry to make a move. That was because he did have other things to do tomorrow. After settling tomorrow's matter, he would take the other 2 as his subordinates. The night passed. The next day the sun rose. Lin Xian stood in the void, inhaling and exhaling purple clouds and qi while cultivating. When the purple clouds disappeared, he returned, washed up, and had breakfast. The breakfast he had was naturally not an ordinary one. The rice was made of top-grade spiritual herbs. It was hard to find even one outside. In the past, Lin Xian could not eat such a meal because it was too extravagant. Chapter 2381. After eating a bowl of rice, Lin Xian felt that the qi and blood in his body were surging like a furnace of heaven and earth, burning fiercely with endless power. How extravagant! Lin Xian also sighed. Previously, he knew that the people of these major forces and sects had powerful resources. However, when he really came in, he realized that they were even more extravagant than he imagined. He guessed that the disciples of the sacred grounds and the clan of the ancients were treated like this since they were young. Thinking about those things that he fought desperately for, Lin Xian really felt that cultivation was not easy. After Lin Xian finished eating, on the other side, Xing Tian and Hui Dao also arrived. Young master, everyone is ready. They're all waiting outside. Xing Tian said. Let's go out. Lin Xian nodded. Young master, it's fine if you bring those people to hunt. But why do you have to invite the sons of the 9 hall masters? They won't be able to rope them in. Hui Dao was puzzled. Indeed, the 9 people had different identities, and they would inherit the hall in the future. However, Lin Xian smiled. Who said that I'm trying to rope them in? Then why did I invite them? It's very simple, to establish my authority, Lin Xian said indifferently and walked forward. Hearing this, Hui Dao and Xing Tian's pupils constricted. They seemed to have guessed what Lin Xian was going to do. However, their hearts were beating wildly. It was not easy to make an example of the sons of the hall masters. If they did not handle it well, and cause the dissatisfaction of the 9 great halls, things would be difficult. However, the 2 of them were relieved that the old hall master was still there. They were afraid that no one would dare to rebel. At most, it would cause some dissatisfaction. Therefore, the 2 of them followed Lin Xian outside. Outside, the 500-year-old martial artists, who were selected yesterday, were standing there. Lin Xian looked at those people and waved his hand. Let's go. Qixia Mountain. It was a continuous mountain range nearby. There was abundant spirit energy and many monsters, including ordinary small monsters and giant monster kings. It could be said that this was a very suitable place for hunting. Of course, only the strong could hunt. The weak martial artists would probably become lunch for these demonic beasts. Lin Xian and the others landed on the Western Gorge Mountain from the sky. More than 500 people gathered together, and the aura they exuded shocked all the demonic beasts. The ordinary demonic beasts immediately fled. In addition to the 500 people brought by Lin Xian, there were also many young martial artists at the 9 halls. 6 of the 9 hall masters' sons had also come. This surprised Lin Xian. It seemed that other than the 2 who couldn't come because they had a mission, only Yang Jian didn't come out of the 7 who came yesterday. At this moment, these people gathered together to chat and exchange information. Many people were even guessing what was going to happen next. That was because they didn't think that the other party had asked them to come here, just for a simple hunting trip. Among them, Hui Chen and the rest were also gathered together to chat and laugh. Their expressions were extremely relaxed. However, when they looked ahead and saw Hui Dao behind Lin Xian, they were also stunned. They didn't expect that Hui Dao would also come and stand behind the new temple master. It can't be. Isn't this guy very arrogant? He has always been a loner, and doesn't even pay attention to the 9 halls. Why is he standing behind that kid today? Pay attention to your words. Don't let others hear you. You should call him Temple Master now. Alright, give him face and call him Temple Master. These people were chatting and laughing. It seemed that they still didn't take Lin Xian seriously. However, they were extremely surprised by Hu Yidiao's appearance. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and looked around. Behind him, Xing Tian whispered, Young master, Yang Jian hasn't come yet. Don't worry about him. When it's about time, we'll start. After waiting for about half an hour, Lin Xian found that no one else came. He stood up and waved his hand. Everyone quieted down and turned their gazes over. The main reason I called everyone here today is to hunt. Everyone is the young genius of Immortal Palace, the top elites. In the future, they will all be pillars of Immortal Palace. I just came to Immortal Palace and hope to have a chance to interact with everyone. Therefore, I held this hunt. I hope that we can work together in the future to build Immortal Palace. If you have any requests or suggestions, you can tell me. If you have any difficulties, you can also tell me. Just treat me as your friend. Lin Xian's voice spread clearly in all directions. It seemed that he didn't treat himself as the master of a mortal palace at all. Instead, he spoke to these people with a very equal status. The people that Lin Xian called over were extremely excited. They were existences that had been suppressed before. When had they ever been valued so much? Moreover, this new temple master looked very amiable, which made them very excited. However, those people at the 9 halls didn't say anything. They naturally knew that the other party was doing this to win people's hearts. Among them, Pei Yuan and Xiaohui, who had a good relationship with Yang Jian, snorted disdainfully. A hint of disdain appeared in their eyes. What was the use of roping in those people? Those were people that their halls didn't want. Although they were elite geniuses outside, they were too ordinary in a mortal palace. These people couldn't compare to the geniuses and elites of their 9 halls at all. It seemed that this temple master was really trash. He could only pick up people that the 9 halls didn't want. In front, Lin Xian didn't care at all. He continued to speak in a clear voice. Although today is a hunt, let's have a little excitement. It was morning now, and the sunset was already the boundary. Before sunset, whoever hunted the most powerful demonic beasts and had the most numbers would be the winner. Then, whoever got first place would be the winner. As for the winner, there will be a reward. The reward will be a heaven-tier cultivation method and a sub-heaven-tier artifact. What? Hearing this, everyone was shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. The eyes of those young martial artists blossomed with shocking light. Heaven-tier cultivation method. Sub-heaven-tier artifact. Heavens, they were extremely shocked. Although they were all members of a mortal palace and were geniuses. However, heaven-tier cultivation methods and sub-heaven-tier artifacts weren't cabbages. It wasn't something that anyone could cultivate. Immortal Palace had a complete system of ranks and contribution points. When your cultivation strength broke through and reached the corresponding rank, you could cultivate the corresponding cultivation method. You could obtain the corresponding medicinal pills and weapons. In addition, if you wanted to skip ranks to exchange, you would need to use contribution points. The various missions issued by Immortal Palace were used to obtain contribution points. Once you accumulated enough contribution points, even if your strength wasn't enough, you could still obtain a high-level cultivation method. Therefore, although these young geniuses and elites were powerful, they were only cultivating Earth-tier cultivation methods. The highest was also peak Earth-tier. As for Heaven-tier cultivation methods, perhaps only Hou Chen and Pei Yuan, these kinds of hall children, were qualified to cultivate them. As for sub-heaven-tier artifacts, perhaps even Hou Chen and Pei Yuan didn't have them. Even Xing Tian and Hui Dao at the back sucked in a breath of cold air. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, "One blade, you can also participate. Young master, then I won't be polite." Hui Dao grinned. Chapter 2382. Forget it. I won't join in the fun with them. Xing Tian shook his head. Don't look at how young he looked. In reality, he didn't belong to the younger generation. If he wanted to take action, he would definitely be the first. Probably Hui Dao couldn't compare to him either. But in that case, it would be useless. He knew that Lin Xian's goal was to stimulate these people through this hunt. This kind of top-notch reward. These few days, Lin Xian's behavior greatly shocked Xing Tian. Although this youth in front of him was young, his strength was valiant, and his methods were also impressive. He had just become Immortal Palace's lord, but he acted very close, without any airs. Now, the scene of the hunt even more displayed his forthrightness and magnanimity. A generous reward for his subordinates. This was the perfect image of the palace master in everyone's hearts. Just as everyone was excited, a burst of applause suddenly sounded in the distance. Worthy of being the new palace master. Really a good method of roping people in. However, these people that you gathered are a bit of trash. All of them are not wanted by our 9 great halls. Our 9 great halls' elite geniuses aren't what you can pull away with your little favors. When this voice came out, everyone's expressions changed. The 500 martial artists that Lin Xian recruited were immediately enraged. Each and every one of them glaring, emitting biting cold killing intent from their bodies. The people at the 9 great halls looked like they were watching a show. Hui Chen and the others even had a playful look on their faces. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, while Xing Tian and Hui Dao frowned, looking at the sky. Damn it, who is it? Daring to cause trouble here. The dark red divine dragon also gritted his teeth in anger. The next moment they were stunned. The killing intent that those 500 people released previously instantly froze. Because they discovered that a figure walked over from the distance. The other party stepped in the air, abnormally tall, figure like a fiend god. Yang Jian, the son of the third hall master. Moreover, his strength was powerful, one of Immortal Palace's top heaven's prides. Therefore, those people below only dared to be angry, but didn't dare to speak. Yang Jian, stop talking nonsense. Xing Tian shouted coldly. Nonsense? How am I talking nonsense? Every word I said is the truth. Yang Jian stood in the void, looking disdainfully in all directions, extremely domineering. The people from the 3 halls naturally sneered. Pei Yuan and Xiaohui also harumphed coldly. However, Hui Chen and the others did not agree. Although they were all part of the 9 great halls, their relationship with Yang Jian was also just ordinary. Moreover, Lin Xian didn't have any ill intentions towards them. They felt that this new palace master's attitude was quite good. Therefore, at this moment, they did not help either of them, and looked like they were watching a show. Yang Jian looked down from the sky. When he saw Lin Xian, his eyes were filled with disdain. However, when he saw Hui Dao behind Lin Xian, he was stunned. He didn't expect Hui Dao to show up and stand behind him. Damn it! What's going on? Yang Jian was puzzled, because Hui Dao was an extremely arrogant person. He didn't even give face to the 9 great halls. Why was he standing behind him? Of course, he didn't think that it was Lin Xian's ability. Instead, he thought that it was the old palace master's arrangement. Therefore Yang Jian sneered. Hui Dao, why are you siding with him too? When did your eyesight become so bad? Humph. Hui Dao harumphed coldly and ignored him. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It seemed that the other party was still as arrogant as ever. However, it was just what he wanted. Today's hunt wasn't his real goal, and the reward was just a casual one. His real goal was to establish his authority. Originally, he was still thinking that if Yang Jian didn't come, who would be the best candidate for the remaining hall disciples. However, there was no need to think about it now. The other party was here. Yang Jian was powerful and had an extremely high status, but he was also incomparably arrogant. He was the best candidate to establish his authority. The other party was so arrogant and didn't put him, the palace master, in his eyes. It could be said that he was offending his superiors and had already violated the Immortal Palace's rules. Not only that, the other party even despised and humiliated the newly recruited martial artists, which could be said to have aroused the anger of the crowd. Among the other halls, probably only Xiaohui and Pei Yuan supported Yang Jian. It could be said that they were in the minority. Therefore, even if Lin Xian took action later, there probably wouldn't be too many people supporting him. After all, whether it was in terms of numbers or rules, the other party didn't have the advantage. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile. He didn't take action immediately, because he felt that it wasn't the time yet. At this moment in the sky, Yang Jian spoke again. How is it, new palace master? I'm not too late, right? It's not too late. Lin Xian nodded. Since you're here, come down and prepare to hunt together. If you can get first place, the reward is yours. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists were in an uproar. Among them, Pei Yuan sneered. Would Brother Yang care about that little reward? Xiaohui sneered. This palace master isn't very good. He's not even angry. It seems that Brother Yang is more dignified. I think Brother Yang is more suitable to be the new palace master. The others were also discussing, because they felt that Lin Xian seemed to be a little too tolerant, and didn't even have a trace of anger. This shouldn't be. Even Hui Chen and the others frowned. Young master, do you want me to teach him a lesson? At the back, Xing Tian quickly asked. At the side, Hui Dao was also puzzled, because he had fought with Lin Xian before. He naturally knew that Lin Xian was very powerful. He was probably stronger than Yang Jian. But why does he have to swallow his anger? Lin Xian shook his head slightly. No need, I'll deal with him later. Let's start the hunt first. Yes, I know. Xing Tian retreated, while Lin Xian looked forward and said loudly, now the hunt begins. Buzz. Hearing this, everyone was extremely excited and moved quickly. They even forgot about their previous displeasure. Those people rose into the air one after another and flew in all directions. Wuxia Mountain was very vast, and the mountains were millions of miles long. At a glance, it was all dense forest. Towering trees rose one after another. There were also many monsters inside, but at this moment, they were like birds startled by the twang of a bow and fled quickly. After all, this was only the periphery, and there were only some small monsters. Those people also quickly flew inside. Haha, let's go hunt. They won't be able to touch a single hair. Yang Jian laughed and left with the people of the three halls. Next to him were Xiaohui and Pei Yuan. The two of them also brought the people of their respective halls. The group of people moved in a grandiose manner, forming a sizable force, just like the kings of Buddha Mountain. Let's go too. Hui Chen and the others also laughed. Among them, Hui Chen took out a big black bow. I haven't used my sky frost bow for a long time. Damn, you even brought this treasure here? The few people next to him were surprised. This bow was made with the bones of an 8-star monster king. It could be said that it was a peerless treasure bow. You're cheating. Hehe. I also brought my sky-splitting panther bow. The disciples of these halls took out their treasures one after another. Chapter 2383. Hehe. I've also brought my flying leopard bow. The disciples of these halls took out their treasures one after another. Let's go. Lin Xian and the others also rose into the air. The dark red dragon followed them from the sideboard. From time to time, it would catch a few small beasts, spit out dragon flames, and roast them. Pfft! Damn it, why do rabbits smell like chicken? The dark red dragon spat its saliva wildly. With the stimulation of Lin Xian's reward, the warriors were abnormally excited, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. From tens of thousands of miles away, there were occasional rumbles, tremors, and lights that filled the sky. Of course, there were also countless roars. Those were the roars of the beasts. Buzz! In front of them, there was an earth-shattering roar that shattered the clouds in the sky. Obviously, it had alarmed a powerful demon king. Kill! Everyone attacked, wanting to kill the powerful demon king. Boom! 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 The demon king was a giant python. Its body was a few thousand meters long when it stood up. Its huge head was extremely terrifying, as it spewed poisonous gas all over the sky. However, in the next moment it exploded. In the sky, Yang Jian held a large purple bow with both hands and shot an arrow. It killed the terrifying demon king directly. The scene was extremely shocking. The sky full of bloody mist exploded, turning into a rain of blood that sprinkled over the forest. Meanwhile, Yang Jian stood in the air like a god fiend, laughing at the sky. Young Master Yang is mighty. Young Master Yang is awesome. The martial artists at the entrance of the three halls congratulated him one after another. That's nothing. It's just a 7-star demon king. I can kill it easily, Yang Jian said disdainfully. Then, he looked at Lin Xian with a provocative gaze. However, to his disappointment, Lin Xian looked calm and did not show any signs of anger. Yang Jian should have been smug. That was because he had already crushed the new temple master, and the latter did not even dare to be angry. However, for some reason, when he saw Lin Xian's calm gaze and expression, Yang Jian felt as if he had punched cotton and could not exert any strength. Of pretentious brat. Let's see how long you can endure. Yang Jian snorted coldly in his heart. He decided to increase the intensity of his provocation. He did not believe that the other party could remain so calm. Therefore, in the next moment, Yang Jian did not set off again. Instead, he turned around and looked into the distance. At the same time, he gathered all his strength and said in a clear voice, "Palace Master, what's wrong? Are you just going to watch and not do anything? Our brothers still want to see how good your skills are." As soon as he said that, everyone turned to look at him. Hui Dao had already left Lin Xian's side to hunt the powerful demon kings. At this moment, Only the dark red dragon and Xing Tian were left beside Lin Xian. When the two heard this, their faces turned gloomy. This was especially so for the crimson divine dragon. It gnashed its teeth in anger, wanting nothing more than to grab the other party and roast him. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had a calm expression on his face. He smiled faintly. However, what's the point of just hunting demonic beasts? Why don't the two of us compete? As soon as these words came out, the surrounding people were shocked. Yang Jian was also overjoyed. He was just thinking about how to provoke the other party. But he did not expect the other party to take the initiative to say such words. He was really dead. He did not know how strong the other party was. However, he was very confident in his own strength. He was one of the top prodigies in the Immortal Palace. There were not many among the younger generation who could defeat him. So what if the other party was the palace master? If the other party was not strong enough, it would still be useless. Today, he was going to suppress the new palace master in front of everyone. He was going to show everyone who was the true prodigy of the younger generation. All right, since the palace master has spoken, how can I not obey? Yang Jian laughed out loud. Then he flew forward with billowing smoke. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. He naturally had his reasons for doing so, because he felt that it was about time to make a move. When the other party was extremely arrogant, he would let the other party know what it meant by extreme joy begets sorrow. Lin Xian's figure swayed, and he also followed. He did not take out any weapon. Instead, he gathered all the spiritual power in his body and formed a large green bow. In terms of archery, Lin Xian did not think that he would lose to anyone. In fact, if he activated his heavenly secret divine eyes, these people would not even be able to catch a hair. However, he was not here to show off his archery skills. Therefore, he was hiding most of his strength. His performance was ordinary, which was the standard of an ordinary prodigy. Buzz! In the distance, an angry roar sounded. Then a black demonic shadow rushed out. Endless demonic aura surged, and a huge creature rose into the sky. It was at least a few thousand meters tall. It spread its wings and covered the entire sky like dark clouds. It was a huge black eagle. It was extremely terrifying. It had 2 heads, and its wings seemed to be made of black iron. It was extremely sharp. With a light shake, it shattered the void. The huge eagle was obviously enraged. At this moment, it spread its arms, bringing with it countless demonic winds that swept in all directions. Not good run. Many warriors retreated, hiding in the distance, drew their bows and attacked. In an instant, countless rays of light flew into the distance like shooting stars. However, they were directly blasted away by the black 2-headed demonic eagle's wings. The feathers on its body were abnormally sharp. Ordinary attacks could not penetrate it at all. It was a peak 7-star demon king. It was extremely terrifying. As a result, many people were flustered, and some were even injured. Good stuff. It's very nutritious after eating it. The dark red dragon looked at the black 2-headed demonic eagle in the sky and drooled. It swung its tail and was about to attack. However, it was stopped by Lin Xian. Lin Xian sent a voice transmission. Don't mess around. I'm planning. Don't ruin it. It's easy if you want to eat demonic beasts. I'll get you a few dozen later. Alright kid, you said it yourself. You have to roast them for me personally. The dark red dragon was very interested in Lin Xian's cooking. Hearing that, Lin Xian was speechless. He shook his head, but still said helplessly, Alright, you'd better stay here obediently. I'm going to reel in the net soon. It seemed that someone was going to be unlucky. The dark red dragon grinned and watched from the side. The two of them were transmitting their voices, so even Xing Tian, who was at the side, did not know that Lin Xian was going to make a big move. Lin Xian also raised his head and looked at the behemoth in the sky. Whoosh! He stopped and raised his hand to draw his bow. A green arrow flew out like a shooting star into the sky. Boom boom boom. The intense collision caused the colossal object to explode with a loud bang. Terrifying airwaves rolled, and thunder fell in all directions. Boom boom boom. This attack directly pierced through the 2-headed demonic eagle's wings, bringing about a large amount of blood mist. Seeing this scene, the warriors of Immortal Palace in the distance all looked over. When they saw that it was Lin Xian who attacked, they were all shocked. Meanwhile, the 500 warriors exclaimed, "Temple Master is so powerful." Chapter 2384. Indeed, they could see that the longbow in Lin Xian's hand was not a treasure weapon, but one condensed with spiritual power. In other words, he could still injure the terrifying Demon King with one arrow, even without the enhancement of a weapon. Indeed, it was surprising. Not far away, Pei Yuan sneered. "That's nothing. It's just average. He's worse than me. He's far worse than Brother Yang. Just wait and see. Brother Yang must have killed this Demon King." Xiaohui also sneered at the side. Sure enough, Yang Jian narrowed his eyes when he saw that scene. "You have some strength, but it's nothing in front of me." He snorted coldly and drew the purple longbow in his hand. The purple longbow had an extraordinary origin. It was refined from the tendons of a purple flood dragon and was extremely terrifying. It could split mountains and rivers with a light wave. It even carried a strong pressure. It could be said to be a peerless treasure. Sure enough, as soon as he drew the bow, the surrounding wind and clouds changed, and the world lost its color. There was even the phantom of a flood dragon appearing in the surroundings, roaring ferociously and letting out waves of roars. As soon as this phenomenon appeared, everyone was shocked. Heavens, Yang Jian is too terrifying. He's actually a flood dragon. What kind of longbow is that? Why do I feel that he's even more powerful than the temple master? Many people discussed animatedly. The martial artists of the three halls were even more proud. That's because young Master Yang is a top expert. Not everyone could compare to him. That's the purple demon flood dragon bow, right? I didn't expect Yang Jian to be so well prepared. Hui Chen and the others also frowned. Even the light of the bows in their hands was somewhat dim. In the distance, Lin Xian's eyes flickered when he saw that scene. He did not expect Yang Jian to have a treasure in his hands. However, that was better. The higher the other party stood, the harder he would fall. The more intimidating it would be to everyone. However, he felt that it was not enough. The other party was arrogant, but he was not angry at all. He had to give the other party some anger. Impulse was the devil. Only by making the other party lose his mind could he do something outrageous. That way, it would be easier for him to make his move. Therefore, in the next moment, he also drew the green longbow in his hand, condensing countless green rays of light. The temple master was also about to make his move. Many people exclaimed. At this moment, they all stopped hunting and looked over. That was because they wanted to see if it was Yang Jian who was more powerful, or the hall master who was more powerful. Yang Jian naturally saw this scene and immediately sneered disdainfully. Then he released his hand. The purple light turned into a shocking bolt of lightning and rushed out, bringing with it the power of wind and thunder, as well as a terrifying roar. "You want to compete with me?" He was too inexperienced. Yang Jian coldly snorted. However, he soon frowned, because the purple arrow he shot out was knocked away by someone in midair, deviating from its original trajectory. Originally, this arrow was aimed at the heart of the two-headed demon eagle in the sky. However, this time, it only hit the other party's wings, causing a slight injury. Damn it! It's that guy. Yang Jian looked at Lin Xian. That was because he realized that his opponent's arrow had hit him and deviated. "Oh, sorry, I bumped into you." Lin Xian shrugged, looking apologetic. However, in Yang Jian's eyes, this only made him even angrier. Damn guy. How dare he go against me? He's courting death. He was really angry. He originally wanted to show off his skills. He wanted to show off in front of everyone. However, he did not expect that the other party would disrupt his plan. That was intolerable to him. At this moment, he did not care about Lin Xian's identity as the hallmaster. That was because his character was arrogant and unscrupulous. He did not take anyone of the younger generation seriously. Therefore now, his eyes were bloodshot and his heart was burning with anger. Not far away, Pei Yuan and Xiaohui also sneered when they saw this scene. Seriously, how dare he provoke Brother Yang? If he wasn't the hall master, I'm sure he would be lying on the ground now. Just wait and see. Even if he's the hall master, he'll be in trouble if he provokes Brother Yang. The two of them sneered. On the other side, Hui Chen and the others were also puzzled. What's going on? Is the new hallmaster going to fight back? That's interesting. As expected, Lin Xian acted as if he was going to fight back. He often fought with Yang Jian, and even destroyed Yang Jian's attacks from time to time. This made Yang Jian's face turn red, and his lungs were about to explode. Yang Jian roared crazily. His body was surrounded by a purple aura, and the shadow of a dragon circled around him, making him look extraordinary. On the other side, the green light on Lin Xian's body dimmed a little, as if it was being suppressed. This scene was even more shocking. However, Lin Xian did not stop there. Instead, he continued attacking. The two of them kept attacking, and attacked the two-headed demonic eagle together. There was even a small friction in the middle. After a few moves, the two of them, they both retreated. The two-headed demonic eagle was originally powerful, but under the joint attack of the two experts, it was riddled with wounds and bloody holes appeared one after another on its body. The blood dripped down and turned into a rain of blood, sprinkling over the forest. It's about time. Lin Xian looked at the dying two-headed demonic eagle and sneered in his heart. He did not attack again. Instead, he retreated. The hallmaster retreated. The crowd exclaimed, "Pei Yuan Xiaohui," and the others also sneered. Sure enough, it was nothing in front of Brother Yang. Hui Chen and the others were also surprised. Could it be that they could not defeat Yang Jian? The surrounding young martial artists exclaimed in surprise. Their eyes were filled with shock. Yang Jian, on the other hand, laughed loudly and seemed to be very proud. He was indeed overjoyed because the other party dared to go against him, and even destroyed his attacks. If the other party was not the hallmaster, he would have slapped the other party to the ground. How could he allow the other party to compete with him? However, so what if the other party was the hallmaster? Under his powerful pressure and energy, the other party was still forced to retreat. Thinking of this, he became even more proud. The purple demon Jiao dragon bow in his hand was constantly waving. Ray after ray of light flew out and bombarded the sky. It hit the demonic eagle's body, causing the other party's injuries to be even more terrifying. Boom! The last arrow directly hit the demonic eagle's head, causing the other party's head to explode, forming a storm in the sky. Boom! The huge corpse fell down and smashed hard on the ground. Large patches of forest collapsed. The nearby mountain peaks were shattered. The ground split open and countless cracks appeared, spreading in all directions. The dust in the surroundings turned into smoke and spread in all directions. It was killed. A peak 7-star demonic eagle king was killed by a single arrow. This Yang Jian was too terrifying. Could it be that he could already contend against an 8-star demonic eagle king? As expected of our Immortal Palace's top young expert. Chapter 2385. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Even Hui Dao frowned. He had to admit that Yang Jian was very strong. Brother Yang is mighty. That arrow just now was really too cool. Xiaohui and Pei Yuan also flew over and came to Yang Jian's side. Haha. Yang Jian laughed complacently, his face filled with pride. He descended to the ground and stood on the mountain-like corpse. Xiaohui and Pei Yuan also followed him. On the other side, Lin Xian's figure flashed and also came to the demonic eagle's corpse. The demonic eagle's corpse was very big, enough for a few thousand people to stand on. So it was not crowded at all. The surrounding people also stopped in mid-air, countless gazes looking forward. Temple Master, what do you think? Isn't Brother Yang more powerful? Xiaohui sneered. On the other side, Pei Yuan also laughed and said, Yes, Temple Master, you lost the written test this time. Haha. Yang Jian was very proud, while Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. However, at this moment, Pei Yuan said again, Temple Master, I think you should give Brother Yang the title of Immortal Palace's #1 prodigy. Is there a need to give him that title? Pei Yuan said with a smile. How about this, Temple Master? You can make Brother Yang the Deputy Temple Master. In this way, we can do things that you can't do for Brother Yang. What? Hearing this, everyone was shocked, and their hearts beat wildly. Hui Chen and the others' expressions also changed. These guys are too arrogant. However, the people of the 3 halls were very excited. If Yang Xiaohui became the deputy temple master, then they would also rise to the top. Lin Xian's 500 people gritted their teeth, and their faces were gloomy, because they felt that the other party was too much. This suggestion is not bad. After Yang Jian heard it, he was also very satisfied. Then, he walked forward and patted Lin Xian's shoulder. How about it? Agree. Let me be the deputy temple master, and I'll guarantee your safety for the rest of your life. You don't have to worry about anything. As soon as these words came out, the world changed color. Everyone was shocked. It seemed that Yang Jian's ambition was not small. He actually wanted to fight for the supreme position. Xing Tian's face was gloomy. The other party was too much. He was about to say something. However, he was stunned. This was because Lin Xian had also spoken. At this moment, Lin Xian's face was completely cold, and his eyes were filled with a biting cold light. He said coldly, "Take your hand away. Who told you to pat my shoulder? Do you have the right to film me?" What? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They couldn't believe their ears. Even Pei Yuan and Xiaohui were dumbfounded. Then they screamed out loud. "What did you say?" "Humph. What did I say?" Lin Xian sneered. "What do you think I said?" "Brat, don't go too far." Pei Yuan said coldly. Lin Xian shouted coldly, "How dare you?" As soon as this voice came out, it was like a clap of thunder that resounded in all directions. Pei Yuan and Xiaohui were shocked. They did not expect that the new hall master, who had always swallowed his anger and kept his silence, would explode with such power. Needless to say, this sound really scared the two of them. However, Yang Jian's face turned completely gloomy. "Brat, you dare to scold me?" His expression was cold. Lin Xian looked at him, and his eyes flickered. "What did you call me?" "I'm the hall master of a mortal palace, and you're just a martial artist of a hall. When you see me, you have to respectfully call me hall master. Don't tell me you're so arrogant that you've forgotten the rules of a mortal palace." "Hall master? You're also called hall master?" Yang Jian was really angry. When had he ever been scolded by a brat like this? Moreover, the other party's strength was clearly inferior to his. That was intolerable. How can someone like you be the hall master? You're so weak. If it weren't for the old hall master supporting you, you probably wouldn't even be able to enter Immortal Palace. How dare you? Yang Jian, are you trying to rebel? Seeing this scene, everyone was in an uproar. At the back, Xing Tian also shouted coldly, "I'm rebelling. What can you do to me?" Yang Jian shouted angrily. He was really mad. As soon as those words came out, the surrounding people were also in an uproar. They were extremely shocked. The other party actually dared to say such disgraceful words. He was really insolent. Lin Xian sneered. This was exactly what he had been waiting for. Buzz! The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated crazily. Then it erupted with terrifying energy. Lin Xian stretched out a green dragon hand and slapped forward. Bang! Yang Jian was instantly slapped to the ground. The terrifying power shattered the void. The 1,000-meter-long beast carcass under their feet instantly split open, turning into countless blood chi that scattered in all directions. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. Their eyes widened. They could not believe it. Even Xing Tian was stunned. He did not expect Lin Xian to suddenly attack. Pei Yuan and Xiaohui, who were at the side, were stunned. "Ah, damn brat, how dare you hit me?" Yang Jian roared crazily, and his expression was abnormally cold. Murderous intent quickly emerged from his body. That was because he could not tolerate it at all. How dare the other party attack him? Moreover, the other party even injured him. To be honest, the palm just now was too sudden. He did not expect the other party to attack him. Therefore, he was completely unprepared, and was slapped to the ground by the other party. "Ah, I'm going to kill you!" He roared crazily, and terrifying power surged out of his body. He wanted to counterattack. Bang! However, as soon as he stood up, he was slapped down. The terrifying green dragon palm slapped his body, directly shattering half of his bones. Blood spurted out crazily. Cracks that were thousands of meters long appeared on the ground and spread in all directions. Not only that, the green dragon palm did not disappear this time. Instead, it was like a green mountain that pressed down on Yang Jian's body, completely suppressing him. Countless sword chi flew out from the green dragon palm and entered Yang Jian's body to seal him. Brother Yang. Pei Yuan and Xiaohui cried out in alarm and kept retreating. Damn it, let go of our brother Yang. The people of the three halls also roared angrily. They all pulled out their swords and roared. How dare you touch our young master Yang? Seeing that a great battle was about to break out, Xing Tian roared. Who dares to attack? Do you all want to rebel? He was a peerless expert. At this moment, his voice carried incomparable power, causing the blood in everyone's body to surge. In an instant, everyone was stunned in midair. Yes, the other party was the immortal palace master. Yes, young Master Yang was muddle-headed and said those words in a moment of impulse. He had no intention of rebelling. Palace Master, please let young Master Yang go. The people at the third hall were also shouting. As for the others, they were all stunned. Playing with him? Lin Xian sneered. Who is he to play with me? What do you take me for? A toy for you to play with? Or do you not have me in your heart at all? Lin Xian's cold voice sounded again. His eyes were like two sharp divine swords, sweeping across these people. Buzz! These people's hearts were beating wildly, and they felt a chill in their hearts. They did not dare to say anything else. Below, Yang Jian was roaring crazily. Kid, you better let me go. I can pretend that this didn't happen. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Don't forget that my father is the third hall master. I said execute him. What? In the distance, the 500 people were stunned. Even Hui Dao and Xing Tian were stunned. What's going on? Are we really going to kill Yang Jian? Ha 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 ha. Kid, did you see that? No one dares to touch me. Seeing this, Xing Tian laughed arrogantly again, and his eyes were full of disdain. Indeed, his identity was extraordinary. The third hall master was an incomparably powerful expert among the 9 hall masters. As the son of the third hall master, no one dared to offend him. No one is going to do anything. I'll do it myself. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and his body emitted a strong aura. He waved his hand, and the green dragon hand grabbed Yang Jian and suspended him in the air. The surrounding sword chi formed chains and nailed him to the ground. Ah! Damn it, open up! Yang Jian roared crazily. However, the sword chi formed by the great dragon sword soul had already sealed his body and suppressed all his strength, so Yang Jian could not break free. Insubordination, rebellion, disrespect. You will be punished by 3 knives and 6 lashes and beheading, Lin Xian said coldly. Crack. He flipped his palm, and a blue treasured saber appeared in his hand. Then he looked up and stared at Yang Jian. How dare you touch me? Try touching me. You're dead meat if you touch me. Yang Jian shouted crazily in the air. However, at the next moment his voice stopped, and he even let out a miserable cry. That was because the blue long saber had directly penetrated his body and came out from his back. Poof! Ah! Blood spurted out and dyed the void red. Yang Jian screamed crazily in the air, and his face was distorted. Everyone was stunned by this scene. What? He really did it? How dare he do it? At that moment Pei Yuan, Hui Chen, and the others were full of horror. Even Hu Yidao and Xing Tian were shocked. Damn it, are you trash? Kill him! Yang Jian roared crazily. Those people in the third hall recovered from the shock and gasped. Young Master Yang. At that moment, one of them could not help but rush forward. Chapter 2387. Heavens, why is the temple master so powerful? That slash had stunned the people from the 3 halls. Yang Jian's pupils constricted and he screamed, Damn brat, you've been hiding your strength. He realized that Lin Xian was much more powerful than when he had fought with him previously. This caused his heart to turn cold. He felt that it might be a trap for him. In the next moment he screamed, Let me go if you dare. I want to fight you one-on-one. I can kill you with one slap. Poof. Ah. However, Lin Xian ignored him. He took out another golden long saber and stabbed it into Yang Jian's body. The third purple long saber was stabbed into Yang Jian's body. There were 3 sabers stabbed into Yang Jian's body, and his blood stained the ground. This scene shocked everyone. They didn't dare to believe it. Pei Yuan, Xiaohui, Hui Chen, and the others were also shocked. They did not expect the new temple master to be so ruthless. Ah, damn brat. Kill me if you dare. Otherwise I won't let you go. Humph. Lin Xian snorted. Now that the punishment of 3 slashes was over, it was time for the 6 lashes. At this point, he waved his hand and countless lightning bolts gathered in his hand, forming a lightning whip. Crack! The lightning whip lashed out, lashing out at Yang Jian's body. His skin and flesh were torn open, and even his bones were exposed. Yang Jian's body was surrounded by lightning, and the pain almost made him pass out. Ah! Kill him! Kill him! I'll take responsibility for anything that happens. Yang Jian roared crazily. However, Xiaohui and Pei Yuan kept retreating, and their faces were full of fear. Are you kidding me? I don't dare to move. Otherwise, they would end up like Yang Jian. However, the people from the 3 halls were furious. Their young master was actually being tortured like this. This was something they couldn't bear. In an instant, 3 experts rushed out. Let go of our young master. Although they were angry, they were not stupid. They did not dare to attack Lin Xian directly. After all, Lin Xian was the temple master. Thus, they directly charged forward with the intention of saving Yang Jian. As long as he could save Yang Jian, there was no need for them to worry about the rest. However, just as the 3 of them arrived in the air, Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved the lightning whip in his hand, directly splitting the 3 of them apart. Poof! Puff! Puff! The 3 of them were cut in half at the waist. Their bodies were surrounded by countless streaks of lightning. They were charred black and emitted white smoke. The corpse fell to the ground like a clap of thunder, fiercely striking everyone's hearts. If you're not afraid to die, then come at me. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Then, he waved his lightning whip again and lashed it at Yang Jian. Yang Jian's crazed screams were extremely miserable, causing everyone's scalp to go numb. However, no one dared to make a move. The sons of the great halls were extremely shocked. The other martial artists were even more stunned. Although the people from the 3 halls were furious, they didn't dare to act rashly. After all, the 3 charred corpses were still there. Soon the 6 lashes were finished. Yang Jian's entire body was charred black, and there was not a single spot on his body that was unharmed. White bones could be seen in many places. Not only that, but his internal organs were also seriously injured. It could be said that Yang Jian had never suffered such serious injuries since he was young. I'll kill you. I'll definitely kill you. Yang Jian's eyes were red, and his mind was a little unclear. He opened his mouth and roared angrily. Every time he spoke, endless black smoke would rise. His entire body was about to be roasted by the lightning. The 3 slashes and 6 lashes were all over. Next, it was time to behead him. As he said that, the lightning whip in Lin Xian's hand disappeared. He slowly pulled out the ancient dragon abyss sword. A sharp aura surged out from his body and swept through the 9 heavens. What? Behead him? Was he really going to kill Yang Jian? Everyone's hearts were beating wildly, and they were extremely shocked. Because although the 3 slashes and 6 lashes had injured Yang Jian previously, his life was not in danger. With a genius like Yang Jian, coupled with the treasures in the hands of the 3rd Hall Master, it could be said that he could recover very quickly. However, beheading him might not be the same. He had directly killed Yang Jian. In this world, who could bring bones back to life? Even the great emperors couldn't do it. If he died, there would be nothing left. Therefore, when everyone heard about beheading, they were all stunned. No way, he was really going to make a move? Hui Chen and the other hall disciples were shocked, not daring to believe it. As for Pei Yuan and Xiaohui, they were even trembling as if they had seen a devil. How dare he? Could it be that he was not afraid of the 3rd Hall Master's rage? One had to know that the 3rd Hall Master was ranked in the top 3 among the 9 great Hall Masters. Moreover, his personality was extremely violent. In addition, there were countless elite powerhouses in the 3 halls. If the 3rd Hall Master was angry, it would definitely be an unimaginable nightmare. What? Kid, you dare to kill me? You actually dared to kill me? Yang Jian was also so angry that his entire body was trembling. What kind of joke was this? In the entire immortal palace, who dared to kill him? This time, Hui Dao was also stunned. Even Xing Tian couldn't remain calm. To be honest, he also didn't expect that Lin Xian would actually have the intention to kill. To be honest, he was very much in favor of establishing dominance. After all, everyone didn't care much about this new hall master. In fact, they even disdained him. Therefore, he felt that Lin Xian really needed to establish his dominance. Using Yang Jian's Li Wei, the effect was also the best. The previous 3 blades and 6 whips already had an effect. Didn't they see that even those hall's children had faces full of horror? But he didn't expect that Lin Xian actually wasn't willing to stop, and still wanted to carry out the final execution. How could he know that this was long decided by Lin Xian? This young Jian was extremely arrogant, provoking him again and again, and even wanted to be the deputy hall master. He even wanted to replace him as the hall master. How could Lin Xian tolerate this? If he didn't kill Yang Jian today, he was afraid that no one would put him in their eyes in the future. Therefore, Yang Jian would undoubtedly die. Why are you very surprised? Do you think I don't dare to kill you? Lin Xian snorted coldly. What you have committed is a capital crime. I have 100 legitimate reasons to kill you. Even if you are killed, the 3rd hall master can't say a word. Everyone was terrified. This method was too terrifying, right? Indeed, if he was killed according to Immortal Palace's rules, no one would be able to find fault with it. However, with the 3rd hall master's personality, even if there was nothing wrong with him, he would still go crazy. They didn't dare to imagine how chaotic Immortal Palace would be if Yang Jian really died. Whoosh! Lin Xian raised the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand. No. In front. The martial artists at the 3rd hall were stunned. Yang Jian's previous torture already made them angry and frightened. However, they could still tolerate it. But it was different now. Yang Jian was actually going to be killed. If Yang Jian really died, they probably wouldn't be able to live either. Therefore, they rushed over as if they had gone mad. Humph! Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Offending your superiors and collaborating with Yang Jian to rebel. You all have committed a capital crime. Chapter 2388. Lin Xian did not hold back at all with this sword strike. The power of the great dragon sword soul was completely unleashed. Together with the power of the ancient sword, it slashed forward. All the martial artists from the 3 halls were shrouded. Boom! There was an earth-shattering roar, and the sky split open. Terrifying cracks appeared on the ground, and countless sword chi pierced through the surroundings. The terrifying aura sent chills down everyone's spines. At this moment, the disciples of the halls and the surrounding young martial artists were all stunned. Wasn't this sword too terrifying? Although it was not aimed at them, the aftershock sent chills down their spines. Damn it! What level had the new temple master reached? They had an unfathomable feeling. After the sword slashed down, and the sword chi disappeared, these people were even more stunned. Dozens of elite martial artists and young geniuses from the 3 halls were all killed. What a terrifying sword chi! Everyone was horrified. Yang Jian's pupils constricted. He did not expect the other party's strength to far exceed his expectations. Thinking of this, fear appeared in his eyes. No. Damn it! You can't kill me. Put me down, or my father will never forgive you. No one can save you, not even your father. Lin Xian's eyes were cold, and the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand slashed forward. No. Yang Jian was terrified, and he screamed crazily. Everyone's eyelids twitched in disbelief. Poof! Blood spurted out, and a head flew up. The sword was out, and the person was dead. What? Killed. He was really killed. Yang Jian was really killed. At this moment, Hui Chen and the other hall masters' hearts were beating wildly, and their faces were full of shock. Even Pei Yuan and Xiaohui were trembling. Although the 2 of them were arrogant before, they were terrified now. The other geniuses in the distance were also shocked. They looked at Lin Xian with faces full of fear. Hui Dao was stunned. Even Xing Tian was in a daze. He could not believe it. Lin Xian killed Yang Jian. The 3rd hall master would go crazy. Xing Tian opened his mouth, wanting to say something. However, Lin Xian kept the ancient dragon abyss sword and shouted coldly, Xing Tian. Yes. Xing Tian came to his senses and stepped forward. Lin Xian said with a heavy voice, use my orders to inform Immortal Palace that Yang Jiani was plotting a rebellion and was killed by me on the spot. Yes. Xing Tian said respectfully. The others continued to hunt, and the reward for the first place remained unchanged. Whoosh! The others hurriedly left and flew in all directions. They were not keen on hunting, but wanted to escape from this place as soon as possible. The reason for that was because the atmosphere there was simply too oppressive. Lin Xian's terrifying aura and pressure made it hard for them to breathe. This was especially true for Pei Yuan and Xiaohui, who immediately ran away. What kind of joke was this? Even Yang Jian had been killed. If they dared to act presumptuously, they would most likely be killed with a single slash. The others were also terrified, but the 500 people that Lin Xian had subdued were incomparably excited. They clenched their fists. Great! Originally, they were still feeling indignant for the hall master, thinking that he was too tolerant. Now, it seemed that this was not the case at all. The new palace master's strength and decisiveness had far exceeded their expectations. If they followed such a person, they would definitely become outstanding in the future. Hui Dao also walked over. He looked at Lin Xian with a hint of respect in his eyes. Young master, Yang Jian's corpse? What's the use of a traitor's corpse? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Leave it here. Lin Xian glanced at it, then no longer paid attention to it. Why? Don't you want to be the first place? Hurry up and hunt. Lin Xian waved his hand. Yes. Hui Dao cupped his fists, then rose into the air and flew into the distance. This kid was too satisfying. Damn it, he had long disliked this guy. Getting rid of him was really too satisfying. The dark red divine dragon at the side waved its dragon claws and said viciously, if you didn't do it, I would have done it long ago. Damn it, who does this guy think he is? How dare he behave so atrociously above us? Xing Tian's eyelids were also twitching wildly. However, he was still worried. Although they had shown their power, they had completely offended the third hall master. So what? Lin Xian said indifferently. He had offended the third hall master and completely subdued the entire Immortal Palace. It was not a loss for him. Moreover, he was the master of Immortal Palace. How could he be humiliated like this? Would the previous old palace master be provoked like this? Would he tolerate such a thing? Xing Tian stopped talking. What a joke! Who dared to provoke him? Even the 6 great guardians had to be respectful. If they were to jump up and down like Yang Jian, they would have been slapped to death. Now he did not say anything. Since things had already happened, he would think of a countermeasure. After all, he was sent by the old palace master to protect Lin Xian. Now he could see that this new young master was very powerful. Not only was he powerful, but he was also one of the top existences in the younger generation. His temperament and methods were also extremely terrifying. To put it bluntly, he was also someone who would not be bullied. Thinking of this, Xing Tian felt a little excited. Lin Xian was still very young, but he was already so powerful. If he grew up in the future, he might be like the old palace master back then, dominating the world. Lin Xian did not participate in what happened next. He floated in the void and looked into the distance. Behind him followed the dark red divine dragon and Xing Tian. Soon, the afterglow of the setting sun arrived. The one who won in the end was naturally Hui Dao. Hui Chen and the other hall master's sons were not interested at all. They were thinking about Yang Jian's matter, and a few of them even wanted to escape. They wished that time would pass faster. Therefore, they did not hunt at all. The people of the other halls were also preoccupied. Therefore, the ones who really hunted were the 500 people that Lin Xian took in, as well as Hui Dao. Among them, Hui Dao was of course the most powerful. Looking at the monster corpses that were piled up like a mountain, Lin Xian nodded in satisfaction. It seemed that the strength of these people was indeed very powerful, as expected of the young geniuses of Immortal Palace. What made him even more satisfied was the attitude of these people. These people looked at him with a trace of respect and fear in their eyes. This was the effect he wanted. Otherwise, as the palace master, how could he lead the heroes in the future? Ruffian dragon, pick a few that you like, and bring them back for you to roast. Alright, I won't be polite. The dark red divine dragon grinned, and glanced at the monster corpses. He picked a few tasty ones and carried them over. Alright, let's go back. Apart from the first place, the second and third place will also be rewarded. The rest of you should cultivate well. I won't treat you unfairly. Lin Xian's words were directed at the 500 people. Thank you, Palace Master. The 500 people were very excited. Next, Lin Xian and the others left Western Canyon Mountain and returned. Hui Dao and the 500 people followed him back. Hui Chen, Pei Yuan, and the others did not enter at all. Chapter 2389. Yang Jian's corpse was also taken away. After all, such a big thing had happened. They had to go back and report it quickly, because they felt that the matter was definitely serious. It would probably cause a huge commotion in Immortal Palace. With the third hall master's personality, he would definitely be incomparably furious when his son was killed. On the other side, after Lin Xian and the others returned, Xing Tian issued a decree that spread throughout the entire Immortal Palace. When this news spread, the entire Immortal Palace was in an uproar. They didn't even dare to believe this news. What was going on? Yang Jian rebelled? He was killed. Heavens, I'm not dreaming, am I? Although Yang Jian was arrogant, he shouldn't have rebelled, right? Who dared to kill him? The new palace master? Heavens, are they going to go against the third hall master? Why do I feel that this news isn't true? Discussions could be heard one after another. However, when the cultivators from the various halls and Hui Chen and the other hall master's sons returned from Xixia Mountain and passed the news to each other, this matter was finally confirmed. Everyone was stunned. They knew that the matter was probably going to be serious. Sure enough, when the people from the third hall heard the news, they immediately went berserk. To be honest, they didn't believe it at first. What kind of joke was this? Yang Jian was their third hall master's son. Who dared to offend him? Not to mention killing him. However, when Yang Jian's corpse was carried back, the people from the third hall were all stunned. Their eyeballs almost popped out. How was this possible? How could someone dare to kill Yang Jian? Could it be that they didn't want to live anymore? After the third hall master received the news, he even came out of the secret chamber. Originally, he was in seclusion, preparing to cultivate and break through. But now he wasn't in the mood to cultivate at all. How could he accept the fact that his own son had been killed? Boom! Speak, what happened? Who killed my son? The third hall master roared crazily like a lion. He was a tall man to begin with. At this moment, he was really like a demon king. Yes, the young cultivators under him trembled and began to narrate the entire incident. When the third hall master and the surrounding people heard that Yang Jian had been struck with 3 blades, 6 whips, and was beheaded, they were all shocked. Especially the third hall master. He roared angrily, and the entire hall directly exploded. Intolerable bullying. How dare he kill my son? I must kill him personally. No matter who he was. The third hall master had really gone crazy. A brat who had just been promoted actually dared to make a move on him? How reckless. The elders beside him hurriedly tried to dissuade him. Hall master, although that brat is detestable, he is still the hall master. We cannot be impulsive. We must plan this carefully. They frantically tried to dissuade him. Indeed, Yang Jian was judged to have rebelled and was killed. If the 3 halls directly charged into the Stellar Hall, they would probably be taken down on the spot. I don't care what kind of palace master he is. How could a brat like him have the qualifications to be my Immortal Palace's master? I want to see what kind of monster he is. The third hall master completely ignored him. He swore that he would definitely kill the other party in order to vent the hatred in his heart. Everyone listen to my orders. Yes. Attack the Starry Hall. Kill. 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 An earth-shattering sound rang out as waves of murderous aura soared into the sky. From the looks of it, these people were really prepared to go all out. Boom. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly descended from the sky. An enormous aura, like 100,000 mountains pressed down. It shattered all of the murderous aura, enveloping everyone's hearts. Sensing this terrifying aura, the expressions of the people in the three halls changed, all of them raising their heads towards the sky. Even the third hall master's face sunk coldly, shouting, "Who is it? You actually dare to behave atrociously in my territory?" Yang Guang received the decree. An ice-cold voice sounded, carrying with it an unmatched pressure. Hearing this voice, the third hall master's expression finally changed. Great Law Protector. What was the Great Law Protector doing here at this time? It definitely wasn't something good. You want to defy the decree? The Great Law Protector descended in midair. He was an elder, currently holding a golden scroll in his hand, releasing 10,000 streaks of radiance. I don't dare. Yang Guang received the decree. The third hall master knelt on one knee, kneeling on the ground. The surrounding people in the three halls also knelt on one knee, looking extremely respectful. Under the old hall master's orders, Immortal Palace's members were not allowed to cause trouble, not allowed to disobey their superiors. Those who disobeyed would be killed without mercy. When he finished speaking, a terrifying aura rose from the Great Law Protector's body, engulfing the 9 heavens. The Great Law Protector was extremely terrifying, his cultivation reaching the Invincible King level. At this moment, an invincible pressure was released, causing the people in the three halls below to tremble. What? Hearing this, the people below were shocked, but they didn't dare to raise their heads at all. Yang Guang, however, suddenly raised his head, his expression becoming incomparably ugly. They were not allowed to cause trouble, and they were not allowed to disobey their superiors. Although it said that they were Immortal Palace's members, it was clearly meant for him. Moreover, this was personally issued by the old hall master. He knew how powerful the old hall master was. Even invincible kings weren't enough in front of him. It could be said that he had reached a shocking level. If he dared to resist and angered the old hall master, he would probably be slapped to death. Therefore, he had no choice but to grit his teeth and say, Yang Guang received the decree. Seeing this scene, the Great Law Protector put away the golden decree, and then said in a deep voice, "The new hall master was personally chosen by the old hall master. Don't make a mistake. I hope you can take care of yourself." After saying this, the Great Law Protector's figure flickered, disappearing into the void. Then the unparalleled pressure disappeared as well. Feeling the disappearance of the pressure, the martial artists in the three halls below all heaved a sigh of relief. It couldn't be helped. The aura of an invincible king was too terrifying. They couldn't bear it at all. Yang Guang's expression was incomparably ugly. A few elders surrounded him and quickly said, "Hall Master, what should we do? What should we do? What else can we do? Do you think we still have a chance to resist?" The third hall master's face was ashen. However, soon after, he clenched his fists, and his square face became incomparably ferocious. Damn it, I can't take this lying down. Although the old hall master is protecting him, I don't believe that he can protect him forever. Seclusion. From now on, don't disturb me. I won't come out of seclusion until I become an invincible king. Yang Guang gritted his teeth. He was already an 8-star peak king, and he was very close to becoming an invincible king. However, it was also very difficult to break through. However, this time he decided to enter seclusion, because only by becoming an invincible king would he have a chance of revenge. Rumble. Yang Guang entered the ground and used the earth spirit vein to enter seclusion. Although the people in the three halls were also angry, they became incomparably low-key. There was no other way. This decree was obviously targeted at them. If they dared to cause trouble, they would probably be killed very soon. Therefore, everything could only wait for their hall master to come out of seclusion before making a new plan. The Great Law Protector's decree was not only issued to the third hall master, but also spread throughout the entire Immortal Palace. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.